Welcome back to Factory Sealed. It is August 19th, 2018. My name is Eric Peterson. Joining me today, Mr. Dan Curtis.
Hello.
Mr. Tom Reagan.
Hello.
And you've probably seen him on our Facebook page. He's known for posting some dumb stuff. Mr. Zack Fawley.
Thank you. That's a wonderful way to be introduced. I am the king of dumb.
Yeah. Mr. Het Happenings himself.
How do, everybody?
Now
Are
then,
we sure this guy isn't Mike in disguise?
he's too quiet.
Yeah, I don't think I'm loud enough.
Or maybe Mike's got schizophrenia and he has a really quiet alter ego.
He sounds like a Georgian man.
I'm Prozac Mike. That's the gag. He's very flat.
Medication Mike is what they call me.
He went from like angry animal on, like Sesame Street to like Eeyore, the Prozac effect. Hi everybody, I like music.
Mike, describing Mike as animal is actually really accurate, I think. I can picture him shouting incomprehensible nonsense while playing the drums.
It's absolutely, it works.
Hi,
He
Mike.
even looks like him too.
Miss you.
Oh yeah, Mike's not here.
Yeah.
Zach's filling in for him because Zach and I had some adventures in the past couple weeks.
We did.
Yes,
we
you
did. It was a tremendous affair that the statute of limitations isn't quite up on yet. So
I think we got to talk about Tyrone though.
I think we got to warm them up. Look, there was a lot of dumbness leading up to that. That's not a thing you can jump into.
No,
that's
not the opener. That is not the opener.
That's fair.
So I asked Zach to step in because he and I went to Missouri. Was that 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
3. It was almost 3.
Yeah,
it was 3 weekends ago.
It's been a long time in between, but yeah, it's still fresh for me. Yeah,
the pain is still subsiding.
The scar tissue and the credit card bills are just crazy.
The wallet is still closing.
It's a good video game show when you go and you can't close the person's trunk where you've loaded all your games. It was a sign that we needed to stop, and we didn't.
So Zach and I met up in St. Louis along with Ben Schrader to go to Chad Hager's Mo Game Con. And what a weekend that was. We flew in Thursday night? Yeah.
Yeah, it was late Thursday night, and it was a comedy of errors just getting there. I had an experience of getting my flight delayed 3 times and then sitting behind a masturbating midget on a plane.
What the hell?
And then And then miraculously
Wait.
No.
Zach, you know how this show goes. You can't drop that line and just move on.
There was so I'm not going to go into a huge amount of detail. You just have to know that was part of my life. But there was a very short. I don't know if he was a midget or a dwarf or a small person
or an 8-year-old.
Not fat sausage fingers, like very proportioned, very just
right.
A little man. And he was, and I thought it was a kid like in a suit, but no, he's just a little person. And that's not really germane to this story.
Did his feet make it over? Like, did his knees make it to the edge of the chair to bend down, or were like they just sticking straight out?
It was like a 16-degree angle. It was not a. It was He was very. God. He was wee. He was small.
He was not normal size.
And I did fly first class because I'm tremendously posh. And actually, that's not true at all. I'm poor as shit. I just have loads of frequent flyer miles. But in first class, they give you, movie options, and the screen is right in front of you. Well, his was on the wall. So there was a lot of room between his small, tiny body and that wall. And everybody in the first class cabin had a view when he picked to watch Red Sparrow. Dear. If you're not familiar with this film, is like La Basic Instinct Femme Nikita with Jennifer somebody. I don't know. It was somebody that got naked and didn't want to, but then got naked in this movie.
Google it.
Whole bunch of politics. Anyway, there is a scene in that movie which is particularly striking, and I was surprised that it was on an airplane, but it is of a erotic nature. And there was a lot of movement coming from his seat, though I could not see him because his shoulder did not come to the top of the seat. There was just a lot of movement, and I could see the screen clearly. And he kept rewinding that scene, and not a couple of okay times, like 8 or 10. And everybody in my immediate area became uncomfortable and began to talk about it. And
What about
I won't
the
go
person
into
sitting
further
next to
details,
him?
but yeah, it was. Oh no, she was very uncomfortable. She was basically in my seat by the end of it. It was just, she just kept scooching back, and eventually she slid between the armrest and the back of the chair. And
See, you guys being American, I thought you would just approach him and go, "Well, you fucking stop jacking it, for God's sake!"
No,
If it was me and Tom, we would have just stepped back and not
it's
said
funny
anything
because
and complained about it later.
I tell you, he was a little person because I think honestly that played into it, because I might have done that with just a normal guy, but then it becomes a hate crime when I do it to a little person. So no,
Or it becomes a sex crime if it was actually an 8-year-old and was like, he was looking at me.
Yeah, I don't know what the rules are. So no, I just stayed in my seat until he got up and left, and then I was in like row 2.
God.
So I got up and left and went as slowly as I could up that jetway.
Where's David Hayter when you need him? He could have went behind him and went, did you come to fly to Missouri? Or did you come to check it?
That's your best David Hayter?
I can't do David Hayter.
Good lord.
We did need a surveillance camera on that flight. It was okay. It was first class. I was drinking a lot anyway, so it didn't matter. But,
Well, I think what was crazy is that you and I were initially scheduled to land at the exact same time, like within a minute. And then your flight got delayed, and then my flight got delayed, and we still ended up landing at the exact same time.
Yeah, you got like blown away in a dust storm, didn't you? Like it was on the news on my plane. Phoenix has been lost to the sands.
The last 2 times
Well, like before he got on the plane, just getting blown away.
No, the last 2 times I've taken off out of Phoenix, it's been literal minutes before this dust storm flies in. It happened in April. And like there are always these big, massive news-making haboos. I'm like, well, I missed that one.
I like massive boobs on the news.
Well, you live in Europe. Don't you just get massive boobs on the news anyway?
Yes, usually the men, though.
Aww. So, yeah, then Ben picked us up, and we made our merry way to our hotel, and we're like, hey, should we stop and get some liquor, some beer? And Ben's like, nah, got it taken care of. We get to the hotel, and he pulls out an 18-pack of Bud Light. Like,
oh, God.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I easily killed 8 that night.
That 18-pack didn't last that night.
Yeah, and in a span of like 30 minutes, and I was concerned because immediately following getting into the hotel room, I realized that our toilet had the lowest flow of any toilet on the face of the earth. And I know that because when I went to relieve myself, my pee was very bubbly from all the Bud Light and would not go down the toilet. And then I became concerned for the rest of the weekend, which leads to another story, which we'll get to later.
Oh, yes. So then on, what was it, Friday, we got a list of game stores from Chad around St. Louis that said, hey, go check these out. And we made it to 2 of them?
Yeah, 2 or 3. It was a good day.
Well, the first one was like an hour away. Bodash's. Got to go to Bodash's Games.
Bodash. Yeah, Bodash's Games. It was a tremendous affair where we woke a gentleman to open his store.
But he had time to stop at Culver's on the way.
Yeah.
Who gets Culver's at 10:30 in the morning?
I had a lot of questions about that place because it wasn't.
I'm pretty sure he had a milkshake too.
Yeah, and there was another gentleman there waiting for us who was just really scared. He was he kept like inching further and further away from us as we're like pushing the boat guy through the door. Like open the damn register.
We got dollars.
It's 11 o'clock in the morning. We want to spend.
But
money
that wasn't the first place we spent money. We went to Missouri to buy video games, retro games.
We did.
Zach broke the gaming the purchasing seal by buying 25 cents worth of Disney VHS movies from a Goodwill.
I felt so bad because the guy kept trying to get me to spend more so I could just give him $1 and he didn't have to worry about change, and I couldn't find anything. So I'll just, but yes, I did. I'll tell you the story why. I have 4 kids, 3 little girls, all of them under 7. And they are, I haven't, when you see me, I haven't slept for a really long time. I just, it's just been kids, diapers, changing shit, people throwing up on my stuff just for years. And every time I go somewhere, I gotta find something for the girls. And I was thinking, like, well, if I go to a retro game show, and even if I find something for them that they really like, it's going to be like $8,000. It'll be some toy that, like my daughter goes apeshit for, and it'll be like, oh, honey, it's a 1958 Scooby-Doo, blah, blah, it's $4,000, but I wanted it. And you're like, no. So I got them a couple of Disney movies, and, that's cool because my kids have no frame of reference for what a VHS tape was. Like, they took it out and started, like, trying to open it. Like, is it a Transformer? Like, no, this is just shitty old 80s technology, honey.
Who knows if it's Aladdin or if it's Fist and Fireman 9? I couldn't tell you.
Well, and then I explained it, and then
Fireman 9. Hang on. Where did that come from?
I don't know. It's like night shift nurses.
I'm slightly concerned.
You just pulled that one straight out of the memory bank.
I know you knew that too well.
Sorry, let me rephrase it. Night shift nurses. There, is that better?
Night shift nurses.
That's actually a PC game, if I'm not mistaken.
Good lord. VR.
Night Shift Nurses. Let's Google that. It is 1989 pornographic film. You okay, Dan? You want me to send you a link? Let's see if Fisting Fireman is actually anything.
Oh, God.
Don't Google these things, please. We've seen.
Oh, no. Please don't.
Eric's gone quiet.
It's Fisting Fireman.
He's just remembering he's remembering his favorite bits.
Oh, apparently it's something from South Park as well. They have that on one of their episodes from a Stud Cat Theater. I never knew that.
Huh. You're just more intimate with the actual pornographic film.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See. Anyway, I forgot what we were talking about.
I don't remember.
Oh, you bought some VHSs that could be Disney or porn, and you don't have a VHS player to actually confirm.
Yeah, but it was funny because they were just so disappointed after I explained like what they actually were. So, and like my 7-year-old just looked at me and was like, "So, baby, basically, Daddy, you got me a box, like with some pictures on it. Like, well, you just go to your room,
Go play on your iPad."
Exactly.
You went there and spent all your money on you.
I did. I didn't spend all my money, and I'll say it for the record because I was hoping there would be arcade games there, and there was not. But
we spent.
I think we need to find a show where there's arcade games so we can go buy them because I want many of them.
We'll get there in a minute, but we spent most of our money between the three of us.
I think we are holding up that show for next year in terms of.
I've already started saving.
Yeah. I got to start early.
The next store we went to, though, is actually probably one of the cooler ones, and we spent probably 2 hours there. It's called Trading Game, and this guy definitely deserves a shout-out because he, correct me if I'm wrong, has one of the most comprehensive kiosk collections in the country.
Yeah. You can YouTube his stuff, and it is just remarkable.
Does he have 15 Firemen 8?
He does not. At least I hope not.
I'll see if I can find the his kiosk collection video that we watched. But the most unsuspecting store, just in the middle of a weird little offshoot strip mall next to a U-Haul in the middle of St. Louis, and this middle-aged bald dude behind the counter, just like, "Hey, how's it going?" Walk in and we just get to talking to him, and this guy just starts showing us random shit. He's like, "Hey, how about you guys come back into the back room and see part of my personal collection?" And I think it was an old bank at some point because it had this big steel door with these pins that stuck out of the side and this big like submarine wheel on the front of it that he had to open, and we had to step up over a lip to get into it. And back there was just it was insane, everything that was back there. He already had some fantastic stuff out on the floor, but we walked back there and we're like, can we just stay here for a little bit?
Well, what was it? He had a
Can I
complete
leave here,
DS
please?
collection.
He had a what?
He had a complete DS collection.
Yeah,
He said he was missing like 3 games out of it. I mean, and it just took up a whole wall. It was remarkable, that man's collection. And he was really nice about us, taking a look through stuff. He said, "Yeah, I'm taking some of this stuff to the show, but you guys can go ahead and take a look at it first, and I'll give you store prices." And I mean, absolutely fantastic. I knew tons about games, knew all about Rarity, and just an amazing gentleman.
Wow.
Yeah, he just kept pulling stuff. Like, he was teasing us because we were like, "Hey, do you have any, got anything cool that you're taking out?" And he's like, "Yeah, I got a bunch. I got a huge collection of Game Boy games in box." We're like, "Oh God, show us!" So he puts these 3 boxes up there, and we start rifling through those, and we each pull out a handful of stuff. And he's like, "Okay, let me take care of these other customers." And he goes, "Hey, I'm gonna show you guys what I'm taking to the show, and I'll let you have first pick on that." We probably each picked out 4 or 5 games just out of that, and.
Oh yeah.
Then from there, he took us into the back. He just kept dropping these little breadcrumbs of like, "I'm going to get you to spend more money." But probably the coolest thing though was I kind of went to Missouri looking for a Game Gear. I don't know why I wanted a Game Gear. I knew I probably wasn't going to find one that worked. And as we were leaving that back vault, I saw a Game Gear sitting on the floor, and I just asked him about it. I'm like, is that for sale? And he's like, I don't know. Somebody traded it in. It probably doesn't even work. I'm like, well, can we take a look? I'd be willing to buy it if it doesn't work. And that's when Ben started talking about one of our other friends who has a really rare blue Game Gear. He's never seen another one before. And he's like, yeah, he's got one, and it's perfect working condition. And there's another Game Gear on the floor, and the guy picks it up and sets it on the counter and unzips it, and sure shit, there's a blue Game Gear sitting in there. With the actual Game Gear TV tuner, one of the belt battery packs, and the AC adapter in this Game Gear carrying case. I'm like, yeah, I want that. None of it worked, but we took it out, and he's like, well, let me think about this for a second.
Why would you buy something that doesn't work?
Dan, let me get to that.
I don't understand.
There's a story.
That car only has 1 wheel and no engine. Sold!
Yeah, but if it were a Bentley and you could get it for $12.
Oh God! So I got to set him up for this. So Eric, what did you pay?
$50 for everything.
Keep this number in mind, kids. This is going to come up a lot in this story.
Christ, no. This is such a salty subject for me. I was so proud of that damn $50 Game Gear. I mean, it was great. It had everything. Oh, and the magnifying glass.
And magnifying glass. Yeah.
The only thing is, like,
right?
What's that?
It has a TV tuner too, doesn't it?
I didn't get the TV tuner with it.
Oh, okay.
Because he wanted like another $25 just for that. So I said, no thanks. I want all of this crap. And it turns on. It powers on. It just needs to be recapped. So Dan, Game Gears were built with the shittiest capacitors in the world. It's almost impossible to find one that actually still functions. So you can pay like $40 and have them recapped, and it's as good as new. That's why I bought it.
Okay, I'll let you off with this one.
Yeah.
And it's a locked out console. It's one of those consoles that has games that you can only buy for it. So it's definitely a collector's
like
piece.
Streets of Rage 2 that I ended up buying for, which apparently is just Streets of Rage 1 with a 2 put after it.
Yeah.
They just like, well,
I looked that up when you told me about it, and I was like, huh? So strange.
They just took the first game and put it on Game Gear and called it Streets of Rage 2. But anyway, so I was super proud of that, and I ticked like 4 games or 5 games off my St. Louis list there. Tom, I found the third birthday for PSP that you and I were talking about, which is the third game
for
in the Parasite Eve
series.
It's either the third or the prequel to it.
Yeah, I think it might be the prequel, actually.
I can't remember.
Either way, that's a good find.
That was I was not expecting to find that at all. Like this whole week, I've never seen a copy of it before. So figured, well, here it is. I got to buy it. And it was $20. The dude had just great prices on everything.
Yeah.
Nice.
And he had Sega Saturn and Sega CD stuff. I ended up getting that sealed copy of Broken Sword for the Game Boy.
Oh.
And I was just blown away. Like, yep, That's mine. I think
got
I
it.
also got Gradius Galaxies there too.
What else did I?
Is
Oh, I
this-
picked up a copy of Shenmue.
Is this also
ahead.
the place where you bought Super Mario 6 golden coins?
Yep, that was one of the Game Boy games in box I got, and then I got Oddworld Adventures 2. I picked up both Mega Mans for PSP, and then a Black Label copy of X4 because the one I have is currently
What's Oddworld Adventures 2?
a Game Boy Color game.
Oddworld, like
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had no idea that existed.
yeah.
Wow.
Picked up a copy of. Did I say Shenmue? Yeah. And then I picked up a game for you, Tom.
Yes.
Metal
Was it?
Gear.
Metal Snake's Revenge.
Yes.
Oh,
Original Metal Gear for MSX.
No.
Oh, hundreds of dollars.
Nintendo Entertainment System.
Snake's Revenge has got that great last boss enemy. His name is actually Hyrola Kakamimi.
High Roller Cockman.
Yep.
Um,
Not a Hideo Kojima game, by the way.
No. Totally uncanon.
let's see. Yeah, so I think that was probably one of the cooler places we stopped. Was Ben was
Absolutely.
so obsessed with finding a copy of Star Wars Episode 1: The Phantom Menace on PlayStation. That's all he
I
wanted.
remember that.
I remember that game really well, actually.
I
Yeah.
remember it looking really bad,
But it was
but
kind of
being
fun.
a lot of fun. Revenge of the Sith was amazing on
Was it?
PS2.
Jedi Power Battles. Do you remember that one? That was
Yes.
really good.
Yeah.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember
Revenge-
that.
The Revenge of the Sith one had you could unlock a multiplayer mode where you could do like one-on-one duels, and it was like a fighting game, and it was just awesome.
Oh,
It was so
nice.
good.
Such a good game.
So by the end of the first day, we hadn't even gone to the con yet, and I'd already spent almost $300 on games.
Yeah,
Good effort, man.
Yeah.
I didn't do great the first day, but I did pick up a Black Label Castlevania for $50.
Oh yeah,
And
that's a
that was,
fantastic deal.
That was one of those, like, if I bought that local, I'd be paying 150 or $200 for it. So
Oh,
I was
yeah.
very happy about that.
So then that night we ended up going over to Chad Hager's house. He invited us over for dinner and beer and some games. Chad's a super cool guy. Like
Absolutely.
what an unsuspecting neighborhood. And we just roll up to this house like, well, there's Chad, and it's just really, it was neat to meet some of these people that we see in our community so often. And he just welcomed us in and bought us pizza and gave us a bunch of beer, and then we played Mario Kart on his garage door.
Yeah,
I know that was so cool.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Can we talk about the fact that we tried to be like civilized people and bring like a bottle of wine, which I think we did, but instead Ben bought this bottle of electric alcoholic Gatorade.
That tasted
And-
like distilled cat piss.
Oh, seriously, it was like medicated poop. It was one of the most horrific things. And
Well, we had
like,
to go to two different liquor stores because when you go to somebody's house, you generally bring something nice. Like, well, let's buy a bottle of wine for his wife for letting us invade their house. And Chad told us, here, this is the wine that my wife likes. So we went to 2 or 3 different liquor stores to find it. The first liquor store was basically like a souped up 7-Eleven that had nothing but just
that was
bargain
not a
bin wine covered in dust.
That was not a liquor store. That was a bodega. They sold drugs there. Everything had like a 2-inch layer of dust on it. There was an old man behind the counter with an iPad going like, "What's the password, sonnies?"
Don't
No,
go in the
didn't
back
he?
room.
Yeah.
So we finally find it, and then on the way out, this bottle catches Ben's eye, and it looks like blue Gatorade, the crystal blue Gatorade. He's like, well, let's get this. It's only $9. And it didn't have a flavor. There were 3 other bottles there. One was mango, one was peach, one was pineapple. This one was flavor blue. Just blue.
Yeah.
Like,
It was
let's
blue.
get it.
That's when you know
I,
it's bad.
I love. By the way, Eric, because you sent me some stuff the other day, and on the packets of M&Ms, I love how it just says "made with artificial flavors."
Oh, they all say that here.
Like you'd never get that over here.
Really? I thought this was a real kiwi berry extract. Yeah, Chad, thank you so much for having us. You were very gracious to host us, and it was a fantastic experience. And can I tell you again how jealous I am of your basement?
Oh
You
my
gotta talk
God.
about that.
Tell me about the basement.
Holy shit.
Well, first of all, his front office,
Yeah.
where he had like his entryway where he had all of his stuff was just overwhelming. And he's like, "Well, I got some more stuff in the basement." Like, okay.
No. He said, "I have most of my stuff in the basement." And this caught my attention. I was like, "Wait,
your journey ends here."
Yeah, that's what I was thinking the whole time we're going downstairs. We're like,
Yeah.
Am I gonna die?
All right. What's the safe word, guys?
Welcome to my fisting fireman dungeon.
Well, then he takes us downstairs, and it's not just a basement; it's a cavern. That it's non-finished. It's just a 10-foot deep concrete basement, and along the side wall is this old retail store gaming cabinet from, what did he say? It was a Toys R Us or
Yeah, a Toys R Us Kmart, one of those. But
Yeah,
it
it
was
was from
all
Kmart.
the branded cabinets. Like the big glass cabinets with like the Nintendo logo on top.
Wow.
etched into the glass,
Beautiful.
and had the kiosks with the controllers in them. And he just had shit piled in there. He's like, "Oh, here's some more of my stuff."
And I mean, like the upstairs collection was pretty overwhelming. I will tell you, like I sat there in awe of it going, "Man, you've got some amazing stuff here." I went in the basement and I was just like, "Oh yeah, I don't collect shit. I'm an asshole."
All my shit can fit into my office.
Yeah,
Did
exactly.
you see the arcade cabinet that you straddled?
So
Oh, yeah?
that was at the show, and we didn't have the opportunity to straddle it, but I have seen it.
Excellent.
That was the one thing on my Missouri bucket list that I didn't get to do.
Yeah,
Next
it was.
year.
Next year.
Yeah,
Ambitions.
playing Super Mario out front with the kids was just absolutely hysterical. By the way,
Yeah.
I thought for sure any minute one of the neighbors was going to have us arrested, but it didn't happen.
We weren't quiet.
Yeah, no, we were not.
His son
That's
was
such
just
a good idea, though. I'd never think of doing that. That's
No.
just a really
We did
cool
that.
idea.
We did that in college. I had an old projector, and we didn't have a flat surface like that, so we just shined it on the side of the neighbor's house. There's a big window on the side, so shit's going into the window. And
You were a bad teenager.
I don't know. They had a white house, but it had siding on it, so the image was all jagged, and it just didn't work very well. But Chad's was great.
This guy's just going up to bed and gets blinded and falls down the stairs.
Can you pull a curtain over the window so I can see Yoshi?
And then as soon as he goes to bed, frigging cans and things start coming through the window because you lot are playing urban golf.
Yeah, with yogurt.
Yogurt.
No, so Chad it was such a cool night, such a good time. I wish we would have had more time to hang out, but he had to get ready for the show the next morning.
Which, man, what a well put together show that was.
Well, our day started off rough because we all decided to wear the same factory sealed shirts, and we got a ton of shit from some girl at a Starbucks she didn't appreciate sarcasm in the least bit. We all walk up and she goes, "I'm going to take it you all are together." And I look at those other two. I'm like, "Nope, purely coincidence. Have no idea who they are." She did not appreciate the sarcasm in the least.
It was a moment where, and she wouldn't shut up. God, it was like that lady we called for pizza with the, "Oh yeah, Jesus, like, just be quiet."
You got to tell him about that.
It's like 7:00 in the morning, and she's just good. And I like this kind of coffee, and I like this. Just push the buttons,
Just
lady.
give me
I need my coffee.
I'd be the same. I'm pretty grumpy when I haven't had my coffee.
Oh, yeah, and like I had a morning, just not in my routine, not in my bed. God loved me. God love him. Ben Trader took one for the team and slept on the world's most uncomfortable couch bed, which was like sitting on an old dead cow. It was just very pointy and slick.
Well, we went to we made sure to get a queen size suite, is what it was called. It had 2 queen beds and supposedly a queen pull-out couch, which was functionally larger than a Post-it note.
Yeah,
and the mattress was about as thick. And he's like, "You know what? I'll take one for the team." And good God, the man did nothing but bitch about it, but he I offered to switch with him. He's like, no, I'm okay.
So yeah, that's just leading up to that. Like, we'd all had that kind of like early morning, got to get up, got to go get in line. All I wanted was my coffee, and this lady would not shut up. It was bad.
And she was one of the weird Missourians who had a thick Southern drawl.
Yeah.
It's like, honey, you're way too chipper for 6 a.m.
Well,
She's
like
had a coffee.
when I kept saying like I want 3 espressos in this, he was like, "That's 4 espressos." Like, yes, I want that many.
You know, the venti comes with 3 already, so that's 6 total, right? Like, I can do
don't.
math.
I don't need your opinion. I just need my coffee.
If I wanted your opinion, I'd give it to you. So then we finally made it over to, it was at a college, one of the local community colleges in like their recreation center. I was surprised. There was a lengthy line out front already when we got there. Just nerds hanging out, waiting to buy video games.
Oh, man. And like, and you couldn't have done a better job of like amping it up by like bringing in arcade cabinets in front of us in the whole bit. Like, just even standing in the line was fun.
Yeah, except
honestly.
the one arcade cabinet that we saw coming through that had the wheels on the bottom of it. So there's this really shitty cobblestone that we're standing on. Just terrible. And these arcade cabinets are super delicate and fragile. And this guy opens up the back of this van and pulls one out, and everyone's like, like they had, I don't even remember what it was, but everyone's like, that is an arcade cabinet. He just lays it down on the wheels on the back and just over this shitty cobblestone. I'm like, well, that thing's probably broken by now.
So Tom will know what this was. It was a Japanese Sega Nomi cabinet. One of the old,
yes.
18 game versions with the 6-button and the Sanyo buttons. I mean, like, you could tell this was something that somebody rubbed with a diaper every day. And this asshole is just wheeling it across the pipe of like 8 of the nerds, just like, hey, we'll just come pick that up. It's cool. We got it. You know, like, no. Had a CRT in it still. I mean, it was just gorgeous.
Oh, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we probably only stood in line for half an hour before they opened the doors. And it took us less than 60 seconds to spend a collective $300.
Yeah, easily. I spent 200 of that because I walked in the door, and immediately to the left there was a gentleman with a boxed TurboGrafx, and he said, "I'll sell it for $200." And
here's my card.
I just look up, here you go. You know, like, yeah, absolutely, I'll take that. So he goes, "Well, let me just show you everything that's in here." I was like, "No, you don't have to. I own that now. That's mine."
Trust you. Don't take it out.
And he took it out of the box, and I mean, this thing's got a huge amount of like the old Turbo Club posters and all the original like pack ends. One of the controllers still had like plastic wrapping the original zip ties on them. This thing has never been used. And $200, like, again, that TurboGrafx was not big in Georgia where I live, around Atlanta.
I'd never heard of it.
Yeah, it's just one of those consoles that if you didn't live in one of the 8 major cities where it was debuted here in America, you never saw it. It wasn't marketed to you. It wasn't in stores. There were no commercials for it.
Damn plebs don't need them TurboGrafx.
Yeah, and it was an excellent console. I owned one as a kid because I lived in around Tampa, and they had them. And I'd been looking for a boxed one forever. And around here, if I was to ever see one, which I don't, they'd go for about $800. So $200, I was like, "Yes, sir. Here, take my cash. And would you like me to grab my ankles and call you daddy? You know, like, I need this in my life."
Well, and this guy had one of the games that was on my list from you, Tom, that I was talking to some of the local game store owners here. You sent me here looking for a copy of Metal Gear Solid, or the document of Metal Gear Solid 2, which apparently is just a digital graphic novel of Metal Gear Solid 2, which apparently I think is in some capacity in the Metal Gear database for PS3.
I'm sure that's in my box, you know.
It is also like an interactive documentary of the making of MGS2.
What do you mean it's in your box, Dan?
I think 100% that is in my Metal Gear Solid 2 box.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, you
I think
mean
it
like
came with it.
there were two discs that came with the European Metal Gear 2. I think that's the same for the American copy as well.
I'm sure that's it. I'm going to have to check that later.
Huh. Well, anyway,
yeah.
None of the people here had ever seen it, or few of them haven't even heard of it. Yeah. First booth we go to, first game I look at, document of Metal Gear Solid 2. I'm like, I'll take that. Didn't see another one at the entire show. Bought a few Sega Saturn games off that guy. picked up the first Panzer Dragoon, Clockwork Knight, and I think that was it from him. But anyway, this show, I was concerned when we walked in. We're like, this isn't really that big of a location, but good Lord, did we spend a lot of time there.
Yeah, and just it was funny. It was one of those where you could tell people had stuff in reserve. So you'd go to make the rounds and you'd come back and they'd either have trades out or just some newer stuff out. So I think we spent 4 or 5 hours there just walking around.
Well, we kept revisiting the same booths again, and goddamn you, Zach, for finding a game. Just your eyes fell on something first before me, and we'd looked at that booth 7 or 8 times before.
Yeah, so I was looking for a Mega Man X2 to finish out my Mega Man collection, and I looked over in the case, and there's this pristine copy, and guy wanted $90 for it, and I was like, I'll take it. And Eric's eyes went mine.
I've never heard of that game. Can somebody tell me about it?
Oh, let me tell you, man. I would say over half of the games I purchased from this show were Mega Man games.
Easily, yeah. You went kind of
I'm so
mega
surprised.
maniacal.
I've just found the document of Metal Gear Solid 2.
Nice.
It is in Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance.
Huh.
Yes.
It's a lovely orange disc.
I would look at the one that I bought, but I bought so much shit at this show, I had to send it home with Ben, who drove, and have him ship it. And here we are 3 weeks later. I still don't have my box, Ben. It's like $700 worth of games. Need you to send it.
No
Yeah, you're not seeing that again. You'll never see him again.
God.
So, I want to ask you both, what's the one thing or game or whatever you wish you'd bought?
Oh,
Wonderful.
God.
Ooh.
Yep, I know exactly what I'm going to say.
Go ahead.
So we went to this table in the back. First of all, before that, they had this museum section that was so cool. We all went in saying, we want to see a Panasonic Q. And sure as shit, there's a Panasonic Q. But even more impressive, there was an actual PSX, which
So cool.
I don't think a lot of people know, at least I didn't fully understand, was that we use PSX as kind of like the shorthand for PlayStation 1, when in fact, it was an actual console at one point.
Was it?
The PSX was an actual console that played PS2 and PS1 games.
It's a really sleek looking bit of kit.
Super sleek, but apparently super broken. Anyway, we're digging through that, and then we go over to the next booth, and I see a Genesis game in box that I was looking for called Time Killers. Like, done, purchase, $80. Perfect. I've never seen this before. I'll take it. And sitting right next to it was another game, or was a game I had no idea even existed. One of my favorite racing games from Super Nintendo called Rock and Roll Racing. Apparently, there's a Genesis version of it. He had it complete in box for $40. I'm like, I think I'll pass on it. Well, come to find out, that game's insanely rare, and just the box alone on eBay is selling for double that.
Oh,
Biggest regret of the show. $40.
shit.
And it's not like I was breaking the bank.
$40
with it.
dues.
Yeah, I think I have 2, and one was just not practical. It's the reason I didn't buy it. Was they had an all-in-one Coleco computer TV combo.
That was so cheap too.
Yeah, they wanted like what, $150 for it? Or something like that?
$125, and then they had a pile of
125.
ColecoVision games in front of it for $2 a piece.
Yeah, and I passed it up when I got there because I thought, like, how the f am I going to get this thing home? And I kind of regret passing it because I got to send it home with Ben and never had him ship it to me. But my second one is Albert Odyssey.
Yeah.
And it was one of those games. It's a Sega Saturn game that I must have seen 50 copies of and kept thinking like, oh, I'll pick it up in a minute. I'll pick it up in a minute. And, at the end of the day, I got back and realized I hadn't gotten it. And, those copies there were going between like $60 and $80, I think. And, even if I was going to eBay it here, I think it cost me like 120. So I'm kicking myself over that one. But I got a huge amount of TurboGrafx games, a huge amount of Neo Geo CD games. So
I would have
I
said
did
that
pretty good.
I regret not buying Mega Man X2, but I found a copy of it here for the same price last week. So I'm not too butthurt about it. I didn't know that they made the Mega Man X games on Saturn, so I found a copy of X4 sealed for $300. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to buy that. Next booth over, they had a loose copy of it for $40. I'm like, yeah, I'll buy that. And then Warcraft 2 Tides of War on Sega Saturn, had that on PlayStation 1, loved it.
Wow.
Great game.
Let's see what else. Realistically, that's the only game I regret not purchasing was the Rock and Roll Racing. Like, super annoyed that I didn't spend $40 on it.
What would you say?
You've got enough stuff.
I didn't, though.
Your best find was for the whole weekend? Like the criteria being just the price that you got it for, but also something that you were really after.
Honestly,
Very serious question for this show, Tom.
Honestly, document of Metal Gear Solid 2.
Oh,
even though I don't get to keep it, but like it's just one of those games that I had on my list. I had zero expectation of finding it, and I found it.
Yeah, it's so hard to find. I just literally found it in a second.
Shut up.
In a box, which is like 3 feet away from me.
Yeah, mine's got to be the TurboGrafx. Honestly,
Oh,
I had
yeah.
no.
I think you were ready to pack up and go home after. You're like, yep, got what I need.
Yep.
Let's go.
Yeah,
You had to carry that around for the whole day, right?
Well,
No,
so that's
yeah.
that's what's funny. We were
That's how the car Sherpa-ing started.
we were the I think we were the only people that were making multiple trips to the car to drop stuff off.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah,
time
and
I
I think-
walked out, it was like people that were leaving and getting their car and driving off, and they had like a couple games in hand. I've got this box with a Sega Genesis, Sega CD, 32X, and a mountain of games. I'm like, I'm going to go drop this off and come back in. My backpack's full of shit.
Yeah, let me tell you, I was popular with the TSA on the way back. I was. They were interested in my bag. Like, what is this? Like, fuck off.
It's a topiary.
But yeah, I think we were definitely the only people going back and forth. But I think a lot of the vendors honestly noticed that too. Because I got to tell you, that second and third pass around, like people were grabbing us, like, "Hey, come look at this!" Oh yeah, we're the dipshits with the money.
There was a game there that I really wanted to buy. I'd never seen an actual copy of it, but the dude was just gouging the price on it.
Backdoor Sluts 12.
Yeah.
Well, no, that one was only like $40, but I was looking for a copy of Brigandine complete, and this guy had one, and I'd be willing to pay $100 for it, but the dude wanted 140.
Yeah.
Just couldn't do it.
When his was complete, it wasn't sealed, and there was something missing. Wasn't like the missing or something.
I think it was. There was something that just was a little off about it, but
Yeah.
he wouldn't budge
And
on it.
Yeah, and I think he was the only one there with a copy of it. I mean, and guys, you have to understand, like, these shows attract like the big dollar guys, and so there was a guy there that had like 10 copies of Roller Rose and Kuon and Shadow Hearts and all those games.
There were a
There
couple
was
of guys walking around wearing stadium events as necklaces.
Yeah, guys that were selling off like their entire collections.
Dan, if you don't know what stadium events is,
Jesus.
it's a $30,000 NES game.
Yeah,
What? Why?
Because
It's
there's only like
so
30
rare.
of them ever made
yeah.
But it could
before
be
it got
shit.
rebranded into something track and field.
I have a picture. I'll post it to the Facebook.
You have
site
problems, guys. You really do.
There was a one case there that was probably $40,000 worth of games, and it was the one with stadium events and it had the Flintstones and Little Samson and a bunch of those.
Bubble
in it.
Bobble
And
2 was in there.
Yeah,
Were they for
It was-
sale?
yeah. He was selling his whole collection, but he was doing it for
shit.
he was according to him, and I no harm no foul. I don't know him or his story, but it sounded like he was trying to do a nice thing. He was donating the proceeds to Alzheimer's charity, so he was not budging on price. So I saw a copy of the Flintstones and like woo, and then I saw the price like oh man,
How about no?
yeah. I did get
Just
there were
instantly lost my erection.
yeah exactly. I got a Mortal Kombat Sega CD.
We had fun
Complete
with
copy.
that.
Yeah, and I actually got it signed by the original actors for Mortal Kombat for Johnny Cage and Kano. Were
Oh
there.
my
So
God, that
I got
film.
my disc signed by it. Yeah, it was great. No, not the movie actors, the digitized game actors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would not have had the actual actor sign that disc.
That's
not a movie we should be proud of.
the other game you snaked from me that I'm annoyed about was the Caution Seaman for Dreamcast with microphone, and the microphone still had the windscreen on it.
See, I'm not taking any shit for this because you put it down.
Why? I'm like, yeah, I know. But hindsight,
Caution Seaman.
haven't you heard of that game, Dan?
It's fantastic.
Oh, Dan, that game's so cool. Basically, it's a
Is
fish
it about
tank.
ghost attacks?
It is. It's a game where you manage a fish tank that has this mutated fish with a man head.
That thing, yeah, I've seen that.
I've never heard of it.
It's a Dreamcast game
With a microphone.
with a microphone, and you talk to your seaman, and it's narrated by Leonard Nimoy.
Yes.
Huh.
I just remember playing that in high school. I'm like, what the hell is this?
It's almost not a game, Tom. You'd love it.
Yeah.
That's
Sold.
me. That sounds like me. Bring me those visual novels.
No, this one's. It was interesting. It was more of, I think, of kind of one of those experimental titles, kind of like whatever Warren Spector's doing these days. But it was interesting because it's one of those games that you never see ever with the microphone, and I don't know why. I don't know why there was just thousands of people that sold their secondhand copies but wanted to keep the microphone.
Yeah.
But this one was complete in box, and as Eric mentioned, still has a little film screen on it that I rub on my face every day.
That was a microphone for GameCube, right?
Yeah, that you had to use with
yeah.
a game called Odama.
Odama.
Oh, I don't know that.
Odama was a Japanese samurai pinball game.
Good Lord.
Oh yeah, those two genres go together
They
excellently.
were trying
It
everything.
was a tactics-based pinball game that required a microphone and shouting. Yeah, I think we finally had to peel ourselves away from the show for fear of going broke.
Yeah, we did end up going back out to another store that night, though. We went to the place across town where I got the cool TurboGrafx controller.
And that's where we met Tyrone.
So
Yes.
it was actually.
I needed to
it was
get.
prior to this.
I needed to get some. We had to stop at Walmart because I needed to get some socks.
Okay.
Did you run out?
I did. I forgot to pack more than 2 pair. So Ben and I go back and we're looking at the games and stuff, and we come back through, and as we walk in, Zach's like, I'm going to go to the bathroom, and I'll meet you guys back up front. So Ben and I go, we get what we need, and we pay, and they have this, it's really neat. They kind of had like a little lounge area next to the self-checkout. And we're just sitting there chatting, waiting for Zach, and I see Zach kind of like briskly walking, like that's an awfully fast pace for him. And he approaches us and he goes, we need to put some distance between ourselves and this building real quick. Okay,
Yeah.
Zach. And we didn't even question. We're like, all right, let's go.
To be fair, they were very receptive. I think I looked serious. Like, hey, we need now.
I mean, you were moving awfully quick.
Yeah, I was. I got to tell you, my experience was of such. I felt that speed was a necessity.
And I sent you guys a brief message about what happened, but the way that this will be hopefully be described for you will sum everything up and explain that weird message I sent about how Zach's probably a wanted man.
So I have to set this up and tell you that for the 2 days prior, I didn't like a 12-year-old because I am with Eric. I can't buy anything nutritious, Peterson.
Yeah.
I mean, and by that, I have lived on dots.
Oh, man, we had mega stuff Oreos for breakfast.
Mega stuff Oreos. I mean, and we've gone to put, like, I think we went to what, IHOP one day?
Yep.
And we went to some greasy burger place. Like I have eaten like shit and drank lots of Bud Light and lots of other beer for 2 days. And again, I mentioned we had low flow toilets that I was concerned about. Like, there is no way that this hotel can handle me right now. So we had to go to Walmart, and I thought, like, all right, well, this will be a good opportunity. And you have not had the privilege, gentlemen, of dealing with Walmart in America. At least have you or not before?
Well, I took Tom to Ghetto Walmart, but I don't think he had the privilege of dropping.
Oh, not the
kids
bathroom.
off.
So I will share with you that their bathrooms are not always the best. So I found myself a stall, and it needed a little prep for me to be able to sit down. I'll just put it like that. So I grabbed like handfuls of toilet paper, like just throwing shit on the floor. And I'm telling you this because it's important to the story that the genius that had engineered the Walmart was not in fact a genius. He put the toilet paper dispenser, which is like, I don't know, 8 or 10 inches worth of steel and metal housing a roll of toilet paper, which seems unnecessary. But he had installed it directly next to the toilet. There was no way on earth that any human being could sit on this toilet without like sliding their leg underneath it and like half their body too. So I'm just going to tell you that the 2 days of eating worth of crap meant that I didn't have time to find another stall. That's just the way I'm going to put it. So I just lay it out there. I had to like side saddle the toilet to take this shit. And it was an awful shit. One that could be described in biblical loaves and fishes portions. And I'm sitting like funny on the toilet anyway, and I'm just surrounded by all the pee-soaked rags that I've cleaned up the toilet with, and it's just everywhere. And I'm just taking the poop of the century right here. And I mean, I could be shitting on the floor for all I know, because it's just, and I'm just shaking. My feet are coming off the ground. And I'm sitting sideways on this toilet. And then I will tell you that I looked over to my left and noticed that there was a small child who chose to put his hands on the floor and stick his hand underneath the stall door and was laughing at me. So I'm a parent. I'm just gonna say it like that. Like, this is, I'm not gonna say it's common, but like, it's not a thing where I'm ready to end the world. Like, hey man, hey. And he disappears for a minute, so I just consider like, bah! And again, back to my shitting and horrible shitting on the floor, probably. And he comes back and puts his hands on the floor, and I'm like, yeah, and sticks his head under the door, and now he's like pointing and laughing at me. And I'm like, okay, fuck off, go away, small child. And, so I'm going at it again, and like 10 seconds later, he fucking comes back again. And this time I've had it, so I'm going to scare him off, right? I've got it. I'm like, there's no way. I can't stop shitting. I've got to get rid of this kid. And remember, I'm sitting sideways on this toilet, taking the shit of the century, surrounded by these piss-soaked crap cleaning rags all over the place. And I meant to, and it's important that you understand this, I meant to kick this thing near this kid to scare him away. And I will tell you what actually happened is, with the accuracy of a FIFA striker, I side-swept one of these piss-soaked rags and hit that kid dead in the center of the face. Not just a little bit. I mean, like, right dead center. I'm pretty sure some of it went into his mouth. Some of it got in his nose for sure. And probably his eyes. And it made a sound. It was like... It was bad. It just made it terrible. And immediately he just began like, and just started screaming at the top of his lungs. So in one motion, I managed to finish shitting, pull my pants up, wipe my ass, and walk immediately out of the bathroom around him. And then I said, we should leave.
Oh my god.
And then we did.
And what ensued was a day and a half of memorials to Tyrone's eyes.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he needs new eyes. If anybody ate asparagus that had been there before me, he caught it full. And I'm sure he's blind. He may not be able to smell.
I'm pretty sure that kid's got issues anyway. Why
Therapy.
Yeah, I mean,
having a shit.
I don't. Yeah, it wasn't good in the first place, but I didn't make it better. So.
Oh God. Poor Tyrone.
And I felt bad because I really did not mean to hit him.
I think we've actually trumped Jess's story of dropping the keys down the shitter as the best toilet story on the show.
Oh man.
It's important, now that I'm stating this publicly, that we don't spread this too far and wide, because again, if that kid's parents find me, I'm going to get billed for eye replacement. Like, it's going to happen. I kept watching the news expecting like medevac chopper takes horribly abused child. Like, I didn't mean to hit him. He just would not leave me alone.
He was creeper peeping on you.
Oh man, it was bad. And like, I am not the one to creeper peep on. Like, I don't know where you thought you were, but this was not the place.
I'm taking a shit here. What do you expect to see?
I mean, maybe just watching a fat man take a side settle shit on the floor was a miracle to him, but I got to question the rest of his life if it was. It was bad.
He won't do it again.
No, I think that ship has sailed. That's if he can still walk. I don't know. I mean, he was definitely he needed new clothes. And to wash his hands, for Christ's sakes.
I don't think he did. I think he just
What
ran
was
over to
this
the
toilet?
I mean, he may have been blinded. He may have just run into the wall because nobody chased us out of the Walmart. I was excited by that.
that we know of.
Yeah, that's true. We did move fast.
So we ordered pizza that night in honor of Tyrone's. That's what we named him. We named him Tyrone.
We don't know why. We just did. Yeah.
It just seemed fitting.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the lady, I was trying to order this pizza for like 30 minutes because every time I uttered any sort of syllable, the woman would go, "Oh, okay." And this went on for 20 straight minutes. Like, I want a pizza. Okay. What kind? Meat lovers. Oh. Okay.
And then when you got to your credit card, it was even worse.
Yeah, it was like, what's your credit card number? 4? Oh, no. I'm going to read 4 numbers. Then you can okay me. Like, no, we can't do this after everyone. I'm not going to live this long. Oh, yeah. And then there was the intolerable issue of the pizza sludge, which I got to tell you, the maid who cleaned that room is
I ruined
my hero.
Ben's bed.
Yeah, the couch looked like a camel had ejaculated all over it because the Papa John sludge just exploded everywhere. It went literally everywhere.
We didn't have napkins, so I used the couch cushions, and the couch is my napkin.
Oh my god,
Oh, it was bad.
that's terrible.
I'm
So what
surprised
happens-
you guys have actually been released. Like, you should be locked away after this weekend.
I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
Well, and then Zach. So Dan, do you remember the time when you and I shared a hotel room after the rabbit pie?
Vividly, yes.
Okay, so
My eyes are still burning.
where I was not as mindful of your well-being, Zach was mindful of ours. So we decided to call it a night after a bunch of beer and pizza and trying to get old consoles to work on a new TV, which also included me standing up and holding an LCD TV sideways so Ben could play Ikaruga.
Yeah, again, that maid is my hero.
Zach decides to crawl into bed and like seal himself into this cocoon and start farting.
Oh man, seriously, those sheets are not the same.
He's like, I'm not sure when I come out of this if I'm going to be man or like liquid moth sludge. Like, it's moist.
It's hot. And I don't know why I took that one for the team because both of these guys would go into the bathroom and just take these hellacious shits and come out and like start fanning the door. I'm like, God damn it, keep it in there. Oh, yeah, we have to tell them the story about, was it you that took the huge shit and then we went out into the hallways and scared the girls?
That
Because
was
that may have
was
been
Ben.
Yeah, I opened
And-
the door. The shit stench wafted into the hallways, hit these 2 pre-teenager girls who just ran. It's Ben screamed, "God damn it, Eric sucks dicks." I'm like, God. Seriously, there's other people here. Gonna go to prison.
And then we get into the elevator and as we come out, I don't know what possessed me, but the door opens like, excuse me, dick coming through or penis coming through. And there's this like 55-year-old woman who just stops and looks at me like, oh, really?
Because you were like standing behind me. I don't think you saw her. It was not quiet. It was not subtle. It was like, and send some dick through here. And she just stood very still. She thought Eric was a Tyrannosaurus. Like, without movement, he could not see her. Just froze.
It was one of those things where like I'd already started saying it. It was too late to stop. Let's just finish this and get through.
The Peterson way.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we
was
didn't
good.
have a bigger bill for that hotel room.
No, it wasn't bad. That was the deal that we all made. Like, we would each pay a portion of this. That's why I had no choice in the beer situation whatsoever. I said, "Hey guys, I'll spring for the room. You get the beer. Somebody get the food. We'll take care of everything."
Yeah.
And then I peed bright yellow Bud Light for 4 days afterwards.
The moral of all of this is we had a fantastic time in
We
St.
did.
Louis.
We did. It was a blast. It was an absolute blast.
Good Lord.
I think we need to make this a yearly thing.
Oh, it's on my calendar already.
Awesome.
Yeah. Just block out the whole month. Like, Chad, put it anywhere in this month. I'm good to go.
See, we need to coordinate this time and make sure that we get Ben a CRT to bring to the hotel so we can actually play some of the games that we buy at these things.
Yeah,
'Cause
well,
I'm
we got the Sega CD working, just no audio.
Yep.
So we had, the original Gen 1s of the Genesis had the headphone plugs, so we have headphones plugged into, and we're each holding an earbud so we can hear Mortal Kombat.
Which is fascinating, by the way. Those things have 2 volumes, which is I can't hear anything, and holy shit, my brain is bleeding. There's
Mike Tyson volume.
There is like a dial in the middle that goes from 1 to 2, and that's it.
But they give you a slider that says 0 to 10.
Yeah, it's bad.
No. Then we had to figuring out how to get all the shit home. We were leaving the hotel room like, maybe we should take a couple trips. Like, nope, doing it all in one. 5 steps into the hallway. Like, terrible idea, but I've already committed to this. Let's keep going.
Oh, and if you ever want to see Eric panic, watch him try and play Tetris with video game consoles, trying to get them into like a carry-on bag. Oh, that was some funny shit. He was like, I don't think I can do it. I'm like, I don't think you can do it. You were going to have to find a UPS store.
It would have been better and cheaper to find that than waiting 6 years for Ben to ship me my games.
Yeah, maybe I'll ship you some of your other stuff too.
Oh God, yeah, all the stuff. So we never came back to the Game Gear thing.
Oh,
so
yeah,
the first couple
right.
days, like every time we got out of the car, I'm like, "Is the Game Gear okay?" And we're like, "Oh, don't worry, guys, it's $50 Game Gear in here. Got to keep it safe." Every time we come back to the car, I'm like, "It's $50 Game Gear here. Good, we're safe, we're good." At the show, 20 minutes into the show, Ben is standing there. And what do I see him purchase? An in-box Sega Sports blue Sega Game Gear. Complete.
And his works.
And it was $40?
With like 10 games for $100.
It was $100.
Oh,
but it was totally the better value. I hate to tell you, Eric. It was you should have waited on that one.
The life of the collector.
Yours will be fun when it gets recapped, though.
Oh yeah.
I only managed to buy 2 games that I already had, and that was pretty. I was pretty impressed with myself because there for a little while we found a gentleman that had an entire TurboGrafx collection, which for any of you out there collecting TurboGrafx games, that is like a holy grail. And I bought lots of his games. I think his kids are going to college because of me. And but he had some great stuff. He actually had a Magical Chase at that show.
Oh God, that's what, a $6,000 TurboGrafx game? 10,000?
Oh, 10,000.
Yeah.
I bought mine a long time ago and did not pay that, but it's one of those actual like, hey, I can sell this and pay off my mortgage games.
Yeah.
Don't Game Gears have atrocious battery life?
Yeah. Well, yeah. That's why I have the belt pack adapter. Dan.
Okay.
So you can play for 34 minutes and look like a complete dick.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to get it modded to have a lithium ion in there. It'll last for 38 minutes.
38 minutes, that's right.
So did you ever add up the damage of how much you spent there?
Yeah. It was right under, I think it was 2,200 all up. If I added
God.
Another 600.
I think I was just shy of $1,000.
Yeah.
And Ben was probably right around the same. So we funded that show pretty well.
Yeah. And I'll say it like this. I mean, that sounds like a lot of money. I absolutely walked out of there with 10 grand worth of games. Oh, especially if I were to go to sell, and it's value based on the fact that I'm never going to sell it. I just happen to love games. But
you do?
It was, I do. I love them in my dark little black child blinding heart.
So much so that you all leave them on the shelf and don't play them.
Hey, you know what? I do own sealed games, but most of the sealed games that I own, I actually own loose copies of. There are certain sealed games that I have because of value, and certain ones that I just want to know that I have everything in a box that if I ever one day didn't want to open, I can.
I didn't buy a single sealed game there.
The only one I bought was Broken Sword.
Cool.
But like I own a sealed copy of Conker's Fur Day. Bad Fur Day for the Nintendo 64. I also own a loose copy of it.
Yeah, you screwed some old lady out of.
Oh, yeah, I did. Yeah, I'm not going to lie. That lady's grandson is out there with a death warrant on my head forever. Because she handed it to me. I was at a garage sale, and she handed it to me, and she said, I don't know if it's in there. You can open it. I was like, no.
No, please don't.
It's $15. Here's a $20, honey. Make sure you take care of yourself. As I walk away like,
Wow.
And now, what do you mean you sold my cock at bad 30?
Yeah, and like I do have a magical chase. That's just more of an investment game. I'm never going to open that. In fact, it doesn't even sit at my house. It sits in a safe deposit box, and that's one of those games when my kids one day hear this show and turn to alcohol, I'll be able to put them into rehab. Daddy blinded a boy. No. Here's some Prozac, honey. Hey, help Mike.
Oh yes.
Calmed him right.
That was Missouri.
It was a blast.
Man, what a good time! I wish you guys could have come with. I know it would have been more economical for Tom, but I think this needs to become the annual Factory Sealed meetup needs to happen in Mo Game Con.
Absolutely.
It's central in the country. Like, you guys have a year to plan. We will be there next year.
That's true.
Be there with bells on.
And
it's important that nobody knows me there, so I can actually act like myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Tom,
start up a new Patreon fund, Eric, to get us to more GameCon.
But I gotta tell you though, Tom, I'm jealous of that one store you went to. I gotta make a trip up to Toronto just for that.
Oh, the Power Up Gaming one?
Yeah.
Dude, there's some great gaming stores around here.
City life. City life in cold places. Always focus on their indoor sports, man. They always have better games.
Cold places, yeah. Yeah. When you hibernate for the winter, that's games of the best.
You say that, but in England, there's hardly any of these.
Yeah.
You don't live in England, you live in Het. That's different. I've been writing about it for weeks. It's the olden place.
Maybe that's why I didn't think of this.
Yeah, it's hard to find retro stores in the UK. It's really sad.
Space comes at a premium, so they just shove all that shit into a bonfire.
Yeah. But that shop I went to was actually about an hour just north of Toronto. So it's just in like another town, like a neighboring town. Kind of like a sleepy, chilled out place where they just had all these massive, like a couple of big gaming stores.
Is that where they had the giant steel architecture of that outline of a church?
Yeah. So stupid.
It was clearly a church.
Or like a crayon sticking out of a box of nipples.
Yeah.
Or just a massive knob.
Our Lady of the Immaculate Phallus.
Yeah. But yeah, it was cool. But I guess it was one of those stores where they really understand the value of everything. So they got this glass cabinet and everything in there is it's priced appropriately. Like they're asking for what it's worth. Mm-hmm. So it's hard to find a good deal, a good bargain. But they do have a kind of loyalty thing where, if you spend a certain amount, you get 15% off and stuff like that. Or if you got to know them, I feel like there's a lot of stores around here. If you just kind of get to know the people that work there, you can get them to contact you when something comes in, or you can possibly haggle for a discount if you're not happy with the condition of it, that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, that's kind of my experience, especially with dealing with shops. Like, eBay is one thing, but if you go in and show hey, I actually care about this stuff, and bring them some decent trades every once in a while, most folks are really willing to work with you on price, because price is kind of arbitrary. The people that collect at the serious level are doing it and they'll never sell anything.
See, and that's the thing. I don't trade anything.
Yeah, I have a hard time with it, but sometimes I'll buy stuff while I'm out just to trade.
Yeah, I suppose.
Interesting.
That's why I'm looking for my second rule of rose blocks. Can't find anywhere.
Yeah, that guy was not willing to part with one.
No. He had 6 of them and a Kuan.
Yeah.
Yeah, I picked up a Crisis Core strategy guide there as a little memento going up there. And Pac-Man on the 2600.
Wow.
Just because. Just because it's Pac-Man. I wanted to own a copy. Even though that game was terrible.
I rounded out my import Final Fantasy 1 through 6 collection the other day.
Nice.
But what annoys me is the store I bought it from, the day after I bought 6 games from them. It was like, oh, okay, we're gonna have a buy 2 get 1 free on all games under this price. I'm like, great, I could have gotten 2 of those fucking things for free and saved $30. Burn it down. Any other stories we want to share before we move on to our game of the week?
No, I had an excellent time. Chad, thanks so much for having us. It was an absolute blast. We apologize for any damage we left to the city.
To your house, but I think we were on our best behavior there.
We didn't touch anything.
Except the games.
Yeah, I touched those a lot.
We even took our shoes off like gentlemen.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
Normally we're just a big American oafs and just charge in mud and shit all over our shoes. Mind if I put my feet on the couch?
Where are the games?
Give me the games.
Yeah, somewhere I can put my flag.
Oh man, yeah, I was seriously fangirling Chad's 3DO collection.
Oh man. Speaking of flag, hold on, go ahead.
I think I was not okay. I think I probably scared him a little in chat. I'm sorry. I don't normally lick games like that, but those were beautiful games.
They generally don't meet with my crotch in any capacity, but
he had a Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo in a long box. Ah!
Dan.
Hello.
I hear that you have received something from America.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We haven't had a show since you got your package.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us what you got.
I just threw it straight in the bin.
No, you didn't.
So I got home. I knew it was coming, but there was this huge box, which was actually quite serious for him. I assume this must be a customs thing.
Well, yeah, because last time I mailed something to Tom, I wrote a bunch of dumb shit on the outside, like God Save the Queen and Pinkies Up and 1776 rule, just stupid shit. And everything in the box was broken. Like, maybe I shouldn't do that next time.
Oh, yeah.
And as far as Dan knew, all I was sending him was a T-shirt and a couple bags of M&Ms.
Yeah, so I open up this box and get all the packaging out, and I'm like, what is this? So I take out this ridiculously huge American flag.
Properly rolled, I'll have you know. There's a certain way to fold a flag that looks like a triangle, and I did it.
Yeah, it's not like that now, sorry. And I took it out, and I was like, it was just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I was like, is it ever going to end? Like, physically, it's so big, right? I can't fit it on the floor in my living room.
I'll have you know the dimensions are 6 feet by 10 feet of pure freedom.
And I was so baffled by it, right? I didn't even notice that you'd wrapped up the factory seal T-shirt inside it until later on. I was like, oh, there's a T-shirt as well. I was wondering why that wasn't there.
We partially have Jeremy Sanford to thank for that as well. He came up with the idea and pitched in to help pay for the flag. So props to him for helping me come up with a stupid way to bother you.
Worth it.
What was Crystal's response? You've been a fly on the wall when she saw that.
Oh, God, you don't want to know.
I do want to know.
Well, let's just say she's not big on America right now, so she wasn't very impressed.
It just had to have been what the fuck is that? Daniel?
I believe her exact words were, why has he sent that?
So
and then about 3 minutes of me trying to explain Eric's ridiculous patriotism and why it's a thing.
To which she responded, but why has he sent that?
Yes.
So where's it hanging now?
It's currently on top of the wardrobe.
In your bedroom?
Yeah, well, in my room.
Can't you put it on the ceiling?
Yeah,
I don't think the ceilings are big enough. Might hang it from my lower ceiling, so it kind of hangs down a bit.
Well, I also sent you a box of Lucky Charms that had a present in it too.
You did? I didn't even notice. I was wondering why it was open. I assumed it just popped open in transit, and then you sent a message to me later on saying there's something else in your Lucky Charms, and I went inside and it had a little gift like you used to get in cereal boxes. Eric's done me the squall symbol from Final Fantasy VIII.
You had to think
The
about
light-
that for a second.
Yes, the lion heart symbol, isn't it? Sorry.
It's the only place I could find in that package where it wasn't going to break. I'm like, oh, let's make it like a present in cereal.
Yeah, very good. You also sent me a plaque with Let's Mosey on with a picture of Cloud from Final Fantasy VII.
Dorito Cloud.
So I've now got a Final Fantasy VII Meteorite, Final Fantasy VIII Lionheart symbol, and Let's Mosey in my room.
Yeah.
Yay.
Don't hit your head on it.
It's
I'll try not to. I haven't found a place to hang them yet. I need to find somewhere to hang them.
Yeah. Preferably on the wall.
Yes.
I still want you at
But
some point.
thank you so much for sending those. Much appreciated.
You're welcome. I'm more pleased that you got the flag because it's just the beginning of some subliminal efforts.
I get it. I took a picture with it. Crystal took that photo, so she wasn't that reluctant.
She probably hates that though.
Oh yeah, her face was a picture, but she still took it.
You need to just cover that in the bed for the next time there's ghost attack time.
That's not.
Crystal, let's make love on freedom.
Just come in with nothing else on except wearing that as a kid.
Leave the door open, dear. Freedom's following.
What's that? It's my most impressive condom.
All right, we are an hour and a half into this. We should probably talk about a game.
Just quickly before we do, I also just want to say thank you, Zach, as well, for putting together that box with Eric and sending us the Wii and the controllers and
Absolutely.
Darkness.
I had to get that one ugly ass Wii controller away from me as I possibly could. It was the ugliest thing I could find on the earth. It looked like a Norelco razor.
Made by Mattel.
Exactly. Absolutely. I'm glad you're having fun with it.
It's awesome. Thanks, dude.
So the little prefacing before we start this game of the week. Hopefully people won't be too upset that it's not that old of a game. But as we outlined in the beginning of the show, our criteria for games that qualify is 10 years old or older. So recently, the entire PS3 collection technically falls into our criteria. So with that out of the way, PS3, Xbox, that generation. This week's game of the week is Bioshock.
Bioshock.
Excellent.
Yes, we've had quite a bit of request for this over the years, but now that it's finally old enough, Mike was the one person who wanted to play it the most with us, and he's not here.
The ultimate beep beep.
Yeah, he had some stuff that he had to take care of, so we understand. Just know, Mike, that this game will be completely spoiled for you. Also, for anybody else who hasn't played this, we're spoiling everything because it's 10 years old.
Yes, would you kindly bugger off if you don't want it spoiled?
I see what you did there.
It's a Bioshock reference for you there.
Dan, smart.
I'm clever.
Yeah.
Bioshock.
Released August 21st, 2007.
My God, that old, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was initially released on just the 360, if I'm not mistaken.
And PC?
And PC,
Mhm,
yes.
PC.
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The PS3 version was a year later? A couple years later?
Yeah, it's 2008, I think.
2009, October 22nd.
I know it came out and it came out on OS X too, didn't it? In 2009?
Yeah.
I remember it was a big deal when it showed up on the Mac because the Mac has
Yeah.
like 7 games.
Yeah.
I'm going to kick myself if I've got this somewhere for Xbox and I've bought it for PS3.
Oh, yeah, the Xbox version is way better.
Yeah.
The
She does on
PS3 was a really bad port.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of why. I mean, the platforms were sharing DirectX, and then you had to go to PSGL, and that was much harder to do back then.
Yeah. Well, the PS3 was just a different architecture, and porting non-PS3 games to it was a bitch.
Yeah.
I vividly remember when this game was announced and then finally released. I was actually working at GameStop with Ben, and he was the one that brought it to my attention. He's like, dude, are you going to pick up Bioshock? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, no, you need to pick up Bioshock. And also, you need to get this collector's edition. Just trust me. And he and I were living together at the time, and I had a projector in my room and brought it home and popped it in, and just seeing the title screen with the sound effects of the plane crash and like the water coming down over the title screen, and just knowing that this game was going to revolutionize water effects was one of the things that sticks out the most to me.
Yeah, it was preceded by a really, really super cool, very adult trailer, where you're sort of taking on the persona of this guy that's hunting this little girl and about to kill her in this really violent way when a big daddy shows up and murders you. So
Yeah.
I think there were a lot of expectations that this was going to be kind of this very adult, dark game, and it was in a lot of ways. But man, there was a lot of buzz about this game when it came out.
Well, it's interesting the development cycle that it went through too, because Bioshock initially started off as kind of another game in the lineage of System Shock, because this was done by Irrational Games, who did the System Shock games, and they wanted to do this in space, in like an abandoned space station, and they had weird enemies like Eel Man and Jelly Man, and it just kind of had this really weird feel to it, and it kind of kept morphing into what it is now.
It's such a fascinating concept to even think of it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even know where he got the inspiration from. Like let's put a city under the sea and have it go to shit. It's really clever,
Yeah,
and it works. It works so thematically well for Bioshock as well.
well, and two, it's kind of like the right environment for a pseudo horror game because it's inherently dark, it's inherently moody. Oh man, what a game!
I was looking for something here. I just want to make sure I get the reference correct, because the whole thing was kind of designed around a philosophy from Ayn Rand called, was it objectivism? I'm trying to find the reference to it. I want to make sure I get, objectivist, where, let's make sure I read this right, is a, hold on here.
We're hanging.
The concept of a man as a heroic being with his own happiness as the moral purpose of his life, with productive achievement as his noblest activity, and reason as his only absolute. So, what you think is the main antagonist or antagonist is Andrew Ryan, is a true objectivist in this nature, and that's kind of what this whole game was designed around. Was let's create this utopian paradise under the ocean that's free from the tyrannical rule of what's happening on Earth. Down here, you can be what you want, you can do what you want, and not have to worry about the criticisms and the concerns of what's happening up above. But this quickly dissolves into a dystopian environment where things just, I guess what you can say is like, everybody wants socialism, and once you put it into practice, that shit falls apart real quick. This is kind of the same.
Yeah, well, the city kind of has a downfall because of the invention of plasmids and splicing, which is basically they discover this thing called Adam inside sea slugs, which when injected into people gives them special powers and things, and people just go nuts for this, and this kind of brings about the downfall of the whole place with other factors as well.
What's really cool is this takes place in the 50s, and medical advancements in the 50s were just starting to hit their stride. But as you learn in some of the diaries from a few of the surgeons, like Su Chong and can't think of the other one. Anyway, they're talking about how, I can do a facelift or a tummy tuck or a nose job, but I was getting bored with it, and I wanted to do something more. And I wanted to be an artist with what I was doing. And it's kind of like this burgeoning plastic surgeon era where once they've discovered Adam, you can rewrite people's DNA. And if you are black and you want to be Asian, you can do that. Or if you want to be male and you want to be female, you can switch that. Or you can change your hair color. You can change your facial structure by splicing your DNA to be whatever you want. So these surgeons were still surgeons, but now they became artists because people could do and be whoever and whatever they wanted to do.
Yes, but they also go mental.
Well, what they discovered was that Adam was kind of this benign cancer that once you started the process of changing, you had to continue injecting Adam to keep the tide away of just falling apart. And if you could, it's kind of like a meth addict where they're like reverse. As soon as a meth addict stops, the shit start, or they keep going, they start to fall apart. People, as soon as they stop taking Adam, start to fall apart and become these things called splicers, where they're just. Go ahead.
There's actually more to it than that with the splicers.
I was going to say,
like the splicer army is created by Andrew Ryan on purpose. He uses pheromones to control them in a similar way to how the Big Daddies are controlled.
Isn't it made by Frank Fontaine?
No, it's Andrew Ryan. Frank Fontaine is trying to take over Rapture, and Andrew Ryan invents the Splicer Army to fight against Frank Fontaine.
Yeah, because Fontaine created the little sisters.
This is all kind of addressed in Bioshock 2 and the DLC for Bioshock Infinite as well. This kind of backstory to it.
Got it. Oh yeah, in the Burial at Sea DLC.
I've never played that actually. I really should get around to it.
Which one?
Burial at Sea for Bioshock Infinite.
Okay.
I think all that's included in the Bioshock collection.
I think so too.
But I guess before we dig deeper into that, the setup for the story is you're this character named Jack who's on an airplane flying over the ocean. Your plane crashes, and I don't know about you guys, but this is one of those moments in gaming that will stick with me just because of how impactful it was to see that you're in this cutscene. Plane crashes, there's no cut to black, switch to gameplay. It's you crash, you're underwater, your character swims out, and you pop up on the surface of this flaming ocean. And I remember sitting there for a good 30 seconds when I first played this, like, okay, did the game glitch out? And you realize, like, no, you're actually playing now. You have to swim through this flaming ocean, and off in the distance you see this lighthouse that has stairs on it, and you climb up in there, and as you walk in, lights come on, and you start to see this indication that, hey, there's a civilization here, and you climb into this bathysphere, and it takes you down into Rapture with Andrew Ryan talking about his idea of what Rapture is and what you want to be. You can be here in Rapture, and you show up at the city, and game starts.
It's just so impactful, that whole section. Like, I remember I didn't know that much about Bioshock when I first got it. So that bit where you go down into it and things, it's just so cool. Like, I really loved how they put a spin on it on Bioshock Infinite as well, where you go up into the sky. Like, I thought that was just so cool.
Yeah. Well, that's, Bioshock Infinite is really cool because it draws on that concept of American exceptionalism.
You know all about that, my friend.
Oh, do I?
Yeah.
But as soon as you get out of that bathysphere, like, he builds this up. You're like, this is going to be great. You're flying. You're swimming through these big towering skyscrapers under the ocean. You've got these whales coming through and jellyfish and octopus. You're like, this is going to be a great city. Neon lights. It looks like 1920s Broadway. And you come in, and immediately shit goes to hell. You start hearing this guy pops up on the intercom whose name was Atlas, and he starts talking to you. And well, actually, even before that, that's when you meet the first little sister and the Big Daddy, and that kind of sets the tone for, like, okay, so there's some fucked up shit going on here.
Yeah. Well, and two, just the whole setup with, like, the bathysphere showing up and the splicer being on the roof and kind of cutting into your pod all over the place, like, that was really well designed to creep you out and make you sort of resistant to even go out the door. I mean, what a way to set up a game that's supposed to create stress and tension by just sort of not telling you to be scared of it, just making you scared of it.
Well, and then in the distance, you hear that guttural groaning of these creatures, these Big Daddies, and you hear this little innocent voice of the little sister talking to her, what sounds like a stuffed animal called Mr. Bubbles. And the splicer's there trying to draw Adam out of this corpse, and then sees the little sister, and little sisters are people that go around and they draw Adam out of corpses, and they're the ones that have the most Adam in them. So the splicers want to attack these children, and the Big Daddies are there to protect them. And then the Big Daddy attacks and kills this splicer, and you fall over the ledge. Actually, no, before you fall over the ledge, and the little sister comes over and starts talking to Mr. Bubbles about you. And it's like, I see angels or something. I see an angel, and you see Big Daddy walk by, and you fade to black and wake up, and you're not dead.
Yeah, I'd never actually played Bioshock before. This is my first time, so it was pretty impactful when you crash land and go through the bathysphere.
That's interesting. How you've never played it before?
Yeah, I just missed it. So I was a PC gamer at the time when it came out. Didn't have a console, and my PC couldn't run Bioshock, so I just had to. It just kind of ran by, and I just kind of fell into something else. But when you see that huge bust of Andrew Ryan, and it's got that quote, "No gods or kings, only man," and it completely looms over you, and it's just the world feels really like you've really discovered something huge, and you have no idea what it is, and it's just that first hour is just constant discovery. It's just very overwhelming.
So much of this game is the atmosphere.
Yeah.
The story actually takes a back seat to the atmosphere, because Bioshock wouldn't exist without Rapture. And it's such a neat environment for this. The story wouldn't have worked anywhere else.
The city is almost a character in itself.
Absolutely.
So it's this Art Deco kind of style where everything is like the 50s and things like that. You'll hear a lot of songs, 50s and things like that as you go through. It just it feels like this coherent place, but it's also completely gone to shit as well at the same time.
It reminded me so much of Fallout. A lot of the little graphics and cartoons and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah.
Kind of that World War II era propaganda style art.
Exactly.
When you said something that makes sense, that the story really takes a back seat, I mean, as sort of evidenced by this, a bulk of the story is told by finding these little recording devices. And about 90% of the time that you're trying to listen to one of those, something is stabbing you up the asshole.
Or somebody else speaks to you on the intercom.
Yeah,
and
one of my gripes. Yeah,
I understand why they did that. Irrational Games likes to pioneer new styles of storytelling, and this genuinely did, because there was no break in gameplay to give you a plot dump. I think the only time that really happened was at the very beginning, where you have that non-controllable cutscene. Otherwise, almost everything that you're doing, you can control your character while the story's being dumped. However, that generally means you can get yourself into some shit where you're firing off your machine gun or grenades are going off while you're trying to hear these audio tapes. And they do a semi-decent job of making sure that the major overarching story is told in a capacity that you can hear, but most of the story and the background and the understanding of what's happening is told through these hidden audio diaries that they're super easy to miss, but you also pick them up and then you play them as you're running around shooting stuff. So it's hard to follow.
I find this in general for audio logs in games, though. Like, I always I either get to the next section before it's finished and have to wait, or it's something interferes with it. It's just not a storytelling thing I like very much.
Well, and this one, God help you if you try and go back and listen to an audio log that you may have missed a part of, because it's basically like a file list, and you have to try and figure out, oh shit, I picked up 4 audio logs.
I didn't even know you could go back into the menu and listen to them until I started looking into it. Because I'm like, well, that's how do I I picked it up and then I picked another one up. How do I listen to the one before that?
Yeah. Or if you pick up 2 in a row and one's playing and you start playing the next one, they just play back to back. If they're the same person, like, shit, that sentence didn't make any sense. Oh, it's 2 audio logs. You started over. Fuck.
Or you find tapes and there's other items around it. So when you're trying to hold X, you're picking up other stuff.
Yep.
And it
and you like Final Fantasy 15 when you're jumping, when you're trying to pick things up, it's very similar.
Or you wander into a bar and pick up too much booze and end up drunk, and now you can't even see the tape because the screen's going like, it's like my Thursday night.
This game definitely scratched my pick everything up itch.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
You walk in, there's one room in particular that's just a wine cellar, and it's just a wall of bottles of wine. I'm like, well, I'm gonna be drunk for a while.
Well, here's the thing. We Eric and I had chatted the other day about this, and like UI designers are the unsung heroes of video games. This is a game that needed somebody to recognize when I go over and hit X to pick up something, can I just pick up all of it and not have to hit X 78 times because it's got 9 rows of bullets? Jesus, it was like playing Arkham Asylum. X,
You
X,
had to
X,
press
X,
square?
X, 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 fuck.
Yeah, that's so true. I find that you have to pick up. I would take a lot of big breaks from the story to just find as much loot as possible because ammo can be a little bit scarce. At least I found so in my playthrough.
Well, you can. This game, the combat in
you
this
can
game is
buy
so
it,
interesting because there's so many ways you can approach it. You can just run and gun your way through this, or
You can also run and wrench your way through it.
Yeah,
in
but
my
you have to
experience.
use your plasmids to your advantage. So plasmids are these additional power-ups. They've discovered a way to splice your DNA to give you powers.
Superpowers,
like
basically.
shoot lightning out of your hands, or fire, or telekinesis, or a swarm of bees, or anything like that. And the environment is designed in such a fashion that you can use those directly on the enemy, or if there's a group of enemies sitting in a pool of water and you electrocute the water, it kills all of them. So you
There's
can
oil
get,
slicks and stuff to set on fire, isn't there, and things like that.
yeah, or if you stun an enemy, their defense drops. So if you run up and wrench them, you're going to cause more damage.
Yeah. I spent a lot of time with the wrench because you get these things called tonics as well, which upgrade your abilities.
Mm-hmm.
So I basically pulled a lot of them into the wrench power, and you can just kind of whack lots of splices and things. It's really quite effective. But the combat is interesting. It's I think I found it quite jarring because I think from Bioshock 2 and Infinite, you can use a gun and a plasmid at the same time.
Yeah.
And to go back to the original where you can't feels really strange, and I found it quite cumbersome to switch between the two.
Yeah.
I found myself a lot of the time having to reload when I was fighting, for example, a big daddy or something like that, and then it's just easier to switch to another gun because it takes so long to reload and things like that.
Well, and this game didn't have the stall. Like when you bring up the weapon wheel in most modern games, like it gives you that half a second pause on everything. And this one, like, nope, Big Daddy's still sticking his foot up your butt.
I think it had I think it has pause on the PS3 version.
Yeah, on my version,
I'm pretty sure it does.
on it would pause the whole thing.
Just shoot Zack down in flames there, everyone.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Get your facts right. Don't you know what this show's called?
Over the last 2 weeks.
Would you kindly get your facts right, for God's sake?
But yeah, you're right, Tom. You do have to spend quite a bit of time looking for ammunition because it is really scarce. By the end of it, they give you a big dump right at the end to make sure you have enough ammo, but I was always just scraping the bottom of the barrel to kill things.
You gotta hack those vending machines, my friend.
See, and that's the other. Like, I hated
Get
the
the
hacking
Circus of
minigame.
Value!
I like the Mexican guy that screams with the bullets.
Andale, amigo.
Come back when you have more money, honey.
The Gatherer's Gardens, you aren't.
I did a good.
Get to the Circus of Value!
I did two playthroughs of it, and the second one, all I did was hack the stupid remote sentry bots. You know, the steam-powered machine gun that can tell between people. And like my whole game was just basically going from one hacking gun to the other. I actually enjoyed it more.
Oh man, I
know
can't
what?
stand that hacking game.
I looked through
The
my
hacking
trophy
minigame
list.
sucked.
I looked through my the trophy list for the Bioshock collection, and I noticed, Eric, you didn't hack a single camera.
No, why? Why would you hack a camera when you can put 3 bullets in it and destroy it?
Because they see things and then summon bots to help you.
Eh.
Who needs help?
Very rarely are you going back through the same location.
Oh, I found myself always going back.
Me too, because you need to look through all the rooms to find all of the stuff.
Nope.
Oh man, especially in Arcadia where you have to do that fetch quest to get the bee honey and distilled water. Like I just wandered through there like 30 times.
Do you know what annoyed me so much about that? I've been wandering past the stuff a million times and it wouldn't let me pick it up until you start the quest.
Yeah.
Like I was looking at it and it said, "What's this?" And I was like, "Well, let me pick it up then, because I'm going to need that later, no doubt." No.
Yeah, the B timer room. The B timer room was like my nemesis because I was kind of half playing it on my second one, and like just the little clicking and the fact that it releases like 12 splicers every time.
Oh my God.
Oh please God, I just need one B saliva.
I had run out of all of my ammo by the end of that. By the time I collected all the
I
enzymes
just ran around whacking everybody with my wrench. Honestly, 90% of this game I used the wrench, apart from Big Daddies.
Nice.
It's perfectly possible to play through this game just using that.
Did anybody have a consistent strategy with how to defeat Big Daddies? I just kind of
shoot them with rockets.
Yeah.
Rockets, proximity mines, and then armor-piercing rounds from your machine gun.
Oh yeah. The armor-piercing rounds I definitely had.
But then you open up your machine gun and realize you've got anti-personnel rounds equipped, and then have to switch over to
it takes ages.
the ammo-piercing rounds, which takes forever. And in that time, the Big Daddy has ran into you and crushed you, and you're dead.
Come on, Big Daddy, I'm just changing this round.
Hold fire, good sir. Our duel is at an end. I must reload.
After I discovered the electric buck, basically I never used any other ammo ever. Just shotgun, electric buck.
But you could also go behind a Big Daddy and shoot the tank on his back.
Oh, could you?
Oh, can you?
And it would start leaking stuff. But I don't really know if it really made a huge difference. Still took 1,000 bullets to kill the bastard.
Well, especially like because there were elite Big Daddies, right? Like the red and green ones. Holy cow! Like they were just bullet sponges.
There's certain ones which wander around and they don't even have a little sister.
Oh, and that's so frustrating.
Just leave you alone. I'll just leave you alone. Just crack on.
I just used to, you can get that thing where they look after
Hypnotize.
you. Hypnotize. That's it.
So the Big Daddies also tie into this mechanic Bioshock has, where the little sisters, if you kill a Big Daddy, there's a little sister with them sometimes, and you can either save the little sister or you can harvest the little sister. Saving her gets less Adam, which you need for your plasmids, or you can harvest the little sister and get more Adam. So you have this moral dilemma.
I saved all of them.
I killed them all.
You can only
I would expect it the other way around.
You can only kill 2 and you'll get the bad end. You get 1 as like a forgiveness mechanic.
Honestly, I've experienced many games in my life, and 9 times out of 10, being evil is more fun. So, yeah.
Did you guys see the art book that I posted that had some early designs of the Big Daddies?
I've seen it before. It's awesome.
They posted one. I put it in the Facebook group a couple days ago, but there's a Big Daddy that's in a wheelchair that has no legs, and he has a chest-mounted machine gun. I'm like, why could we not fight that? That'd be so fun.
So, did you guys all play on the Infinite Collection, or did you play on the PlayStation 3 version?
I have the PS3 version.
I played PS4.
Okay, so did you go into that museum mode at all on that?
Not really.
The concept art.
No.
There are a couple of the test Big Daddies in there, and they look pretty cool. It's kind of painful not being able to play against them, though.
I do like the design of the Big Daddies overall, though. It's really quite iconic.
The Little Sisters took a pretty drastic change during development as well. They were originally just called Gatherers, and they were originally designed to just be sea slugs. And then they were the developers.
I'm glad they changed it.
Yeah, the developers are struggling to find a way to tie these into the entirety of Rapture. And at one point, they even became a small chipmunk. And now they're little girls. So it went from sea slug to chipmunk to girl.
Wow.
Yeah. I did kind of appreciate that they took extra special care when they were evil to make them look evil, because I think that was one of the earlier things where they were talking about, they're just going to look like little girls. Like, yeah, but you can shoot those in the face. That's probably not okay. Like, give them red eyes. That'll make it better.
But they still maintained that innocent look of, okay, this is like an 8-year-old girl. So it kind of draws
Mr.
on,
Bubbles.
it draws on your sense of,
I can see angels dancing in the sky.
I have the yellow eyes and 2 sets of vocal cords.
Get to the Circus of Values.
So
That's just all the sounds you hear constantly.
story-wise,
Oh, can we talk before we get to the story? Can we
Yeah.
talk about the research camera? Because
Oh, God.
this thing was so addictive. I don't know if anybody else had this, but every time I got it, even though I was in the middle of danger, I was getting shot by about 4 people, I would just run up to them with my camera and just take about 4 photos of them before killing them. Because this research camera, you take pictures of your enemies, and depending on how good the photo is, you get like a gauge which fills up, and you get research points, and then you get bonuses against that enemy. So I made sure that I took photos of everything.
I did for a while.
All the time. It's so worth doing because you get like 3+ damage on everything that you fully research, even Big Daddies. So it's well worth doing.
Oh, I didn't
But
know.
you
about
just
the
can't.
guys.
You just totally have to throw yourself into danger
Well,
to do
they
it.
force you to do the camera mode for Xander Cohen, and
Oh yeah,
fuck that entire side mission. That thing sucked.
Yeah, it was taking one boss and stretching it out into 4 splicers.
Yeah, it was not fun. And then they give you... So the game itself has a compass that kind of guides you around, but you get to these specific sections, like this Cohen part. He's like, oh, I need you to kill these 4 people and take pictures of them for me. And you're in this gigantic portion of the game that has a lot of off-shooting areas, and they don't tell you where to go at all. Like, no hint whatsoever.
Yeah, that took me ages.
Yeah, but I mean, you can see like that near the Acadia slog. I mean, those are just arbitrary sections of a game meant to flesh out its length. You have to have stuff like that in games.
I
And it
really
wasn't
don't
bad
like
'cause
the section towards the end as well, where you in after the little sister. That really irritated me.
Oh, yeah.
The AI of that little sister was all over the place, and she was repeating the same 3 things over again, and just wasn't moving. I was like, well, you're just get going. Oh, it's just annoying. But I think that's an issue with it. It's while it does have this really good storyline going throughout, I think a lot of it is padding in the first one as well.
Yeah, but it had to, with games like this that are trying to start a franchise, they have to do stuff like that.
Oh yeah, because we all were all surprised by how long it is this week.
Yeah, it was a lengthy game, but I mean, think about the era too. You're talking 2007. There weren't $39 games.
Yeah.
Like it had to come out at $50, which meant it had to be like 12, 14 hours long.
Yeah, because production value on games hadn't hit a point yet where it's like Uncharted, for example. Okay, I can justify $60 on a 9-hour game because it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even though the Sander Cohen stuff where you have to take the photos is annoying, I did like at the end of that when you fight a whole bunch of slices and the classic music comes in.
Oh yeah, it's good that.
That's so cool. It's a really cool moment.
So story-wise...
Did everybody kill him as well at the end to get his stuff?
No.
Kill who?
Santa Cohen.
I killed him.
So?
I killed him
I
at the
didn't.
first opportunity, the first time, and the second. There's actually 2 ways to kill him. My God, I was happy I killed him the first time.
What happens if you kill him?
He has a box which he has his stuff in, and you get a key off him, and you can open.
Oh,
He has a muse key.
because he
Oh,
opens
yeah.
something for you before you
It's
leave.
not worth doing, but
Oh,
yeah. It's just some ammo. It's nothing good.
oh.
But, yeah.
So there are 4, maybe 5 major characters in the story. Andrew Ryan, Atlas, Bridget Tenenbaum, Frank Fontaine, and
Jack.
you, Jack. You enter Rapture obviously towards the, well into the decline, but the story itself is one of civil war that happened within Rapture. So Andrew Ryan set up this entire utopian world that ultimately, in his design, became very top class heavy, and there was a revolution that rose up at the hands of Frank Fontaine, who is also Atlas.
Spoilers!
And Atlas is important because he's the first person you meet when you get to Bioshock, or when you get to Rapture. He plays,
top of the morning to you.
he
I'm Atlas.
plays kind of this ethereal guide that's using you to get to where he wants by saying, hey, I'm trapped here, I need your help, my family's in danger. And just every time you get to where he tells you to go, something bad happens that continues keeping you going forward. Like, oh, my family's in this submarine.
He's very aggressive, isn't he?
Yeah.
The way he talks to him and stuff.
Yeah. But
he's got the Sean Astin of Irish accent. It's great.
Yeah. You discover that he ends up being the leader of the revolution, who's trying to organize the people of Rapture who've been disillusioned by Andrew Ryan's philosophies and, hey, here's what you can be. And Frank Fontaine sees through that. Like,
he's not really trying to do a revolution. He's just out for himself. He's a con man.
Yeah.
So he doesn't want a revolution. He just wants to be the leader, really. He has this leader complex.
Well, and he was a dock worker at one point, wasn't he? That just kind of rose to power.
Yeah, he saw a way to exploit Rapture for what it is. I think he actually has black market ties with the surface, so he kind of smuggles things in.
Yeah, and Andrew Ryan gets super pissed off about that because that's breaking the sphere of Rapture where we're self-sufficient. Which is also kind of...
Andrew Ryan says to people in Rapture, like, this is the cutoff. You can't contact the surface.
Well, what's really cool, if you stop and actually look at all of the weapons that you're using, they're not actually a shotgun or a pistol or a machine gun. They are weapons that have been created with the items that they had on hand. So it is truly revolutionary weapons, people that are just scrapping by with what they have.
I don't know, that wrench looks a bit like a wrench to me.
Well, obviously.
Maybe the wrench.
It's all wrenchy.
Maybe the wrench is okay.
It's made of vending machine bits. Why is it talking about the Circus of Values all the time?
And de arriba.
So I have a question about Atlas Frank Fontaine. There's a couple audio diaries where Bridget, who is she's an interesting character. She is a Jewish scientist who survived the Holocaust because she, at 16, was able to recognize certain things that the German scientists were doing wrong. So they kept her alive and eventually survived the Holocaust, made her way to Rapture, so on and so forth. She's the one who discovered these sea slugs because at one time she went down to the docks and saw this dock worker who had formerly had crippled hands now had functioning hands. It said, what happened? Well, I was bit by this sea slug is the only thing I can think of. And asked if he still had the sea slug, and sure enough, he did. And that's how she discovered this whole concept of Adam and people being able to change things about themselves and this and that. But do you think Frank Fontaine or Atlas is that dock worker?
Could be.
Because
it's never really addressed, is it?
Fontaine understands the economic value of people requiring more Adam because if they stop, they decline. So he sees, hey, there's a supply and demand here, and that's where he wants to continue taking advantage of this. It wasn't ever really made clear. Like, there was an inkling I got from her in a different audio file that made it sound like maybe she shouldn't have pursued this with this particular person.
I think they kind of left that up in the air. I mean, it's a good plot device that kind of leaves you thinking about it. I have to go back through play the expansion because the expansion on Infinite is the actual lead up to the revolution between Ryan and Fontaine, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
So I'm hoping maybe it gets answered there. I played it once, but it was one of those where I got to play through about 2 hours and I didn't pay attention. I was just looking for.
It's not that long of a DLC either, is it?
Bioshock gameplay. No, it's really not. I think
there's 2 parts though. Barry, let's see 1 and 2. One of you plays Booker and one you plays Elizabeth.
Booker DeWitt.
I know the tape you mean though, Eric. It's in Arcadia. Because I ended up listening to it a few times because I kept dying and coming back to it.
Have you played Infinite, Tom?
No.
Oh, you're in for a treat. Play that one
what's
too.
weird is, just as a quick Side note, on my collection, I've got Bioshock 1 and 2 on the menu, but I don't see Infinite. Is there another
Infinite's
way
a
you need
separate
it?
disc.
Oh, okay.
If you open your box, the disc on the right
Just gotta
is
find the
Infinite.
box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thanks, Eric.
you're welcome.
I have a question. You guys played the PlayStation 4 Infinite Collection. Could you take screenshots in that? The Xbox version
Yeah.
actually has screenshots disallowed.
Oh, I don't know. I never tried.
No,
wonder
I
why.
took a few screenshots because I liked
have
some
no
of the some of the art, some of the posters, like the propaganda posters.
Yeah.
Were really cool, like the Atlas ones.
The only other game I've seen not do that is Persona 5.
You couldn't take any?
Yeah.
You can't record on it. It won't let you.
Yeah, actually, you couldn't stream Bioshock either on YouTube, but you could on Twitch.
There were sections of God of War where you couldn't do it, all the story stuff.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Interesting.
not sure exactly why.
Yeah, in fact, that was one of the things I played through the Infinite Collection. My second go around, I played on the PC before, and then promptly killed my PC. But I had said it a couple weeks back, but I found that there were actually differences, and I thought it was aspect ratio or something like that. But I looked it up. There actually are differences in the texture files from the original to the updated version, and I will tell you, some of those are pretty impactful. Like water textures are completely different in the original game.
I just remember the water in the original
wow.
being phenomenal. Like the first
Yeah.
time you walk out through one of those connecting tubes and it shatters with this airplane that crashes through.
Yeah,
This is why I wanted to go back and play the PS3 version to see if I was up, because the PS4 version does have a new lick of paint to make it look a bit better. So I was like, I wanted to go back and experience it exactly how it was.
See,
And
I
it
hooked-
still holds up pretty well, to be honest.
Yeah, it does.
I hooked
It's
up
obviously
my...
it's a bit grainy at times and things, but like the textures. I think for the PS4 version, what they've done, like for example, if you're wandering through one of the tubes and you can see all the city and stuff, that's just a 2D model. But I think for the PS4 version, they've made 3D models, or for Burial at Sea, I think they did that.
Huh.
So it's just little things like that.
I hooked up my 360 and with the intention of playing it, but then I decided to just go for the PS4 version.
Yeah, I mean the PlayStation 4 version is not worse looking, and God knows it runs better.
Yeah.
But there were huge amounts of just weird little changes made, and some of them are impactful, some of them are not. The water one was the one that stuck out to me, and like there were just some art direction changes made, which I get it. You're talking about DirectX 4.5 or something like that to now we're on 12, so you're gonna have to make some changes, but surprisingly, even at like 1080p 60, it holds up really, really well.
Who did the remaster?
Oh shit, who is that? It's not Blue Point.
No,
Is it not Blue Point? No.
No,
I'm sorry, I
can't
can't get
remember.
my game right now.
I'm gonna look it up here right now. It is Blind Squirrel.
yes,
They did an excellent job. It works really well. And I remember reading early on, because PC players were actually noticing there were some performance hitches and stuff like that. I haven't noticed any of them, so they must have patched it out because it ran pretty flawless for me.
Yeah, I didn't notice any hiccups or anything.
yeah,
who
I had a
did
couple
you-
of little
go
glitches
ahead.
here and there, but nothing crazy.
I got stuck in a cupboard.
Yeah, I got stuck a few times where I would hypnotize a Big Daddy, run to a tiny room, turn around, and he's just standing there, and I'm trying to get past him, and he's just standing there in front of me.
There's I saw a glitch on Kotaku earlier this week where it's the Sander Cohen bit where he's coming down the stairs with all the fanfare and stuff.
Oh yeah,
And a big daddy had just glitched into the scene and just ran past him down the stairs.
Awesome.
It was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, other than it's an early first person shooter, so like I noticed that like the right stick movement, like that just wasn't right. But I don't think you're ever going to map that 1-to-1. I screwed around with the sensitivity and all that, but it's just
There's
floaty.
no iron sights kind of threw me a bit.
Yeah. And the whole concept of like you were saying it earlier about weapon switching was just kind of felt archaic.
Yeah, definitely. But so I think we'll go into the story a bit. So you kind of, as I said before, Atlas is kind of shooing you along this path, and you kind of go through all these different sections, introduce all the different elements like the little sisters, the splices, different types of splices, get the research camera, and you find out more about the backstory of. And the goal is really to get up to Andrew Ryan, and you eventually get to his office, and this is where it has one of the big plot twists in gaming history, which a lot of people remember, and it's the whole "Would you kindly" moment.
Yes.
Yeah. Which was
Which is-
excellent.
It is very well done.
Because and that phrase right there is what really lends credibility to Atlas as a character. Because I was reading about early playtests of this game, and a few months before this game was to ship, they brought in a group of consumers and sat them down and had them play the first hour, and they almost universally reviled Atlas. Like, he's just, I don't trust him. I don't like him. He's not there's something off about him. And they redesigned him as a character. And I think that phrase right there lends complete credibility to, okay, he's nice. He's got this agreeable accent. He's got an agreeable demeanor. He's trying to help his family. He's also trying to help you and provide you insight and direction through this city that you had no choice to be here, and you just want to make it out. And he's the only person that you foresee as being able to help you. And he continually says, "Would you kindly do this?" And like Dan said, it comes to find out that "would you kindly" is a mind control mechanism, because
I didn't notice the first time I played it at all.
No, neither did I.
Yeah.
It happens.
Well, and what you discover too is that you, Jack, the character, are actually a product of Rapture. You aren't this random guy that was just on a flight going over the Atlantic that crashed and you randomly ended up here. Like, you were destined to come back here.
You are actually the illegitimate child of Andrew Ryan.
Because he, and this is the part where I always get confused on what happened. He and his favorite call girl got pregnant.
Yep.
And they took that embryo, right?
No, I think he is actually born normally, but he is genetically engineered in a way to age at an advanced rate.
Yes.
And he gets sent away from Rapture by Frank Fontaine, who discovers how to control him, and he waits for the right moment to bring him back. So Frank Fontaine actually puts Jack on that plane and says, "Would you kindly bring that plane down?" So Jack crashes the plane on purpose near Rapture. So it's not a coincidence. He is meant to be there. And that ties into when he comes back to find his father, Andrew Ryan. Andrew Ryan actually wants him to kill him because he thinks Rapture's just fell apart. And he says, "Would you kindly kill me with this?" And he takes a golf club and kills him.
Yeah.
What does he say? "A man something a slave obeys."
Yeah.
Over and over again, he says it.
Yeah.
Man decides, slave obeys.
Yeah, because he is essentially a slave. He does. Somebody says, "Would you kindly?" He does it. And then the next section is about breaking this conditioning,
which is really interesting. I think Bridget is probably one of my favorite characters in this because she has the biggest change from beginning to end. So when she enters Rapture, she's this geneticist who just is being turned away left and right by all of the most reputable research facilities in Rapture. But Frank Fontaine sees that there's value to what she's doing. There's economic growth to be had and gain, and provides her with all of these research facilities and says, "Hey, you need to find a way to mass produce this atom." And in doing so, she discovers that if you implant this sea slug in the stomach of a host, it'll produce more atom. And through her research, she discovers that by implanting it in the belly of these little girls, it produces the most atom. And she becomes this mother of these little sisters. And over time, she discovers, you know what? This is wrong. And starts dialing it back and trying to regain these little sisters and prevent them from being killed for their atom that they have within. And then she sees that Jack has this mental conditioning and helps him undo that mental conditioning. So she goes from villain to pseudo hero through the course of the story.
Yeah, she does, I guess. She's done bad things. She feels bad, so she wants to kind of
make up for it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because the first time, Dan, like you said, the mechanic where you can choose to salvage or save or harvest the little sisters is kind of a turning point for how you view certain characters. So Atlas is screaming at you, no, kill them, they're monsters. Whereas Bridget is like, no, don't do that. If you save them, they will help you, I will help you. And there's pros and cons to both. If you save them, you get plasmids that you wouldn't get till later in the game, much earlier, but you don't get as much atom to spend at the atom vending machine as if you harvested them. So it's kind of a give and take, but it also, like Zach said, leads to a different ending.
Yeah. Which is horrible.
Yeah.
Killing the little sisters is a horribly traumatic ending where you pick up a little girl and you shake her.
Then the screen fades away and you're just holding the slow.
Yeah. I don't know, at the end of the day, I mean, I think the unsung hero of this game is absolutely the remote thing that I hacked that when it dies is just the saddest sounding device. I was like, I'm trying to save you.
I disagree. It's the Circus of Value vending machine.
Oh, the Circus of Value vendor is amazing.
It's the Circus of Value!
Oh, yeah. And it's tempting to kill little sisters because there are some plasmids that you are not going to get if you don't take advantage of those.
Yeah, be evil. More fun.
I know. I have a hard time with that. It definitely came after I was a dad. You know, like, I remember one of the most impactful things on me. I just had my son when Heavy Rain came out. In the first 15 minutes of that game, following that little red balloon, like, I had an ulcer.
Oh, yeah.
Jason!
So, like, the idea of killing Jason! Is horrible.
Jason!
Praxis to Jason.
I was ready to cut off my finger by the end of that game.
Jason! It's the Circus of Value!
That's what happened to Jason. He became a little sister.
Hey, that would probably make sense in Heavy Rain's ridiculously plot-holy plot.
Oh, yeah. Well, again, we're talking about Bioshock, a game where Steam can discern between two different people. So, I mean, plot hole-wise, I think there are some.
You don't know what computers were in there.
Yeah.
Back to Bridget, though, she ultimately becomes kind of your savior at the end of the game, too.
How so?
She's the one who sends the little sisters to save you and kill Fontaine.
Oh, yeah.
After you Big Daddy out.
That was a cool mechanic in the game.
It was.
I really liked that.
I did not like the speed at which I moved.
Pointless.
Well, it wasn't pointless. Because
you don't get a drill. Why don't you get a drill?
You get a drill in Bioshock 2.
I know.
For just $39.95, you can get a drill.
Yeah.
And the Circus of Value.
It was a bit odd because you were supposed to put on this Big Daddy suit so that you could go through this particular section to get to Fontaine that was fiercely guarded by security. And you were supposed to be you were supposed to be tricking these security guards, but you only half look like a Big Daddy. Like, oh, he's just got normal human arms.
Just a very, very skinny guy in a big diving suit.
Yeah, just lumbering around.
Who
But that
smells horrible.
You're right. This part sucked. It was definitely meant to just drag on because the little sister has to stop and suck Adam out of a corpse, and you have to.
I hated that. It was so annoying.
But what's nice, though, is that there's no penalty for letting them die. If they die, well, you just go knock your wrench against the vent and another one pops out.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Like, she's always been there.
Just hanging out, ready to go.
Yeah, so you get past that section, and then it's just really on to the last boss, which is Frank Fontaine juiced up to his tits on Adam.
It's kind of an underwhelming ending to the game, if I'm being honest.
It is. I felt like this. I think I felt like this back in the day, and I felt it again. And the last, it's a very, very easy last boss, I thought.
Well, they give you so much ammo in the room right before.
Oh yeah, I just zapped him with an electric plasma and shot him with crossbow bolts, and then It was done in about 3 minutes, to be honest.
Yeah, there's 4 different stages to him where you have to run up, stab him with Adam, drain it, and then he goes through a little bit of attack phase, and then you damage him enough and he goes back up into his chair and you stab him with the needle again and just rinse, repeat. But before that very last time, you get knocked down and are about to be killed, and all these little sisters come out and suck all the Adam out of him and save you.
Well, and that's, again, it's more slow. It's just padding the game, because I think that boss would have been better if you didn't have to do it 4 times.
Yeah.
If you just upped his health and said, hey, it's a 1 phase. But I agree with the assertion. It's underwhelming because it's just kind of lazy boss. What do we do with the last guy? He's going to be big and bad. Make him silver.
Yeah. He didn't quite fit. It would have been great if he would have looked more like a splicer, like a really jacked out splicer.
Yeah.
Like, why does he look like something out of Superman?
Why does this accent change mid-fight? He has like 8 different accents. Like a...
That's because I was the voice actor.
It all comes in.
Crazy.
So my
one man, you shoot me. No.
So, Tom, here's a question for you.
Yes.
Are you there?
I'm here.
So, you being the one among us who has the least responsibility and the most free time,
Yes.
did you finish the game?
I didn't finish the game.
No, Tom.
I got close.
He
How
got
close?
close, but then he had to spend the night at the book signing.
How close, Tom? Let's see how close you really were.
I had just got into right at the beginning of the Apollo Square.
You still had a ways. You had the entire finding all the Big Daddy stuff, and then you had to be the Big Daddy. You were probably 2 hours.
Yeah, I just got so tired. I was playing it late. I just couldn't.
It's okay. We'll forgive you, but we did ruin the ending for you.
It's fine.
He doesn't get shit when he doesn't finish a game.
I'm still gonna.
The man had to go to a book signing.
I have to go to things, and you're like, oh, you come to the cinema around and play the game.
Because you chose to go to the cinema. Tom was probably dragged kicking and screaming to this.
Unfair.
Tom, why does it sound like your
microphone?
Why does it
It's
sound
not
like
me.
your microphone went to the 1920s?
It's not me.
I think it's Zach.
I think it's Zach.
Are you jacking it?
I mean, it could be. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
He's just loading up an audio diary from Bioshock.
You can hear like 9 things playing over top of it.
Yeah. So my ending, I got the good ending where as soon as that happens, you essentially are shown that you deliver these 5 little sisters to the surface where they live out a happy life and get married and then are there holding your hand when you die. That's the end.
It's very Hallmarky.
But you know what's stupid? That the one that gets married, they're putting the ring on the wrong finger on the wrong hand. That's like Christy's watching that with me, like, the hell is who puts it on the right hand?
It's an alternate universe.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. It is an alternate universe. Haven't you played Infinite? Spoilers.
No,
You never played Infinite.
I have, but it's not an alternate universe. Haven't you been
It
to Rapture?
is. Oh my god, the whole thing about the lighthouses and stuff, they're all alternate universes.
Yeah, but come on, like that'd be a stupid thing to change.
It is a stupid thing.
The midichlorians of Bioshock.
Guys, this is an alternate universe. What's one really cool thing we should... I know, the ring or the finger you put the ring on when you get married. Oh, brilliant. Give this guy a raise.
It's the subtle things between universes, my friend. There's millions of possibilities.
I think it was just lazy. Or somebody right before they published it went, flip image.
Yep.
Probably that.
I'm willing to bet it was that.
No. What was the bad ending where you just shake the little sisters to death?
Yeah.
Basically, you go to the surface and all the splices escape, and then you get nuclear launch codes and basically destroy the world, as far as I understand.
Yep.
Is that really it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever gotten the bad ending.
Oh, it's terrifying. Like when
Nice.
that little sister at the end stops stabbing Atlas, you just grab her and pick her up and shake the shit out of her.
Shaken sister syndrome.
I mean, and she looks horrified too. It's a terrible ending.
Huh. I'll need to YouTube
It is not. It is not Hallmarky at all.
Well, it depends on your definition of Hallmarky.
It's the Jean-Benet Ramsey Hallmark story. It's.
Oh my god.
Oh, come on. It's been like 15 years. We can't make fun of that yet.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, thank God.
Oh,
UK
God.
listeners, do not look up Jean-Benet Ramsey.
Dan
It does not make us look better.
She's like
as
the
a
modern
country.
version of Shirley Temple, who has this very mysterious circumstances surrounding her death. They're pretty sure it was either her brother or her parents who murdered her. She's a very famous child actor that just died.
Gotcha.
Oh, jeez.
She didn't just die. Somebody shook the shit out of her like that little girl in Bioshock. I'm telling you.
Like, she fell down some stairs a few times.
There's a big old Wikipedia on her.
Oh, yeah.
That's the rabbit hole right there.
Yeah. And
Forensic files.
there's a bunch of Hallmark movies on it, and
There's a bunch of Lifetime movies, too, which are far more entertaining.
yeah.
How'd you
Worse
like to
acting.
take tragedy and horror and pair it with an actor that gets paid $14 an hour?
It's worse than a Mexican soap opera.
So, are we giving a hearty recommendation to buy?
Oh yeah. So actually, that kind of
Absolutely.
this leads right into our first series of questions that we have. So typically, we post on our Facebook page some posts for you to give us questions. So Facebook.com/group/Factory Sealed Podcast. Our first question comes from Jeremy Sanford. Is this franchise overhyped, or does it not get the credit it deserves?
No, I
it
think
definitely
it's
gets the credit it
a lot
deserves.
of
It was critically applauded and did really well. So it's maybe a tad overhyped. I don't think the first one holds up brilliantly compared to 2 and Infinite, but
I
it's still playable.
I think it's the other way around. I think 1 is fantastic. It was such a groundbreaking game in its time. 2, not so much.
No, 2 isn't as good in the storyline capacity, but mechanically plays better.
Yeah. 2 just gave everybody what they wanted. Give me the ability to dual wield, make it faster, make it less story focused, and you got to pay the bills. I get it.
But
and Infinite is really good.
Infinite is
really
fantastic. The twist at the end of Infinite was so good.
Yeah.
One of those few
that
in gaming
messed with my mind for a week.
Oh yeah, one of
Oh,
those
I really
few in
wanna play
gaming
that
that I
now.
just didn't see coming. And now that you've played the first Bioshock, you'll appreciate the twist at the end even more. But I think for people who played Bioshock 1 when it first came out, Infinite was 8 years later?
Yeah.
To see
It was
that
a
twist, you're
long
like,
time.
oh my god, yes, this. I think the game itself kind of to answer his question, falls somewhere in between. At times it can be a little overhyped, but
Yeah.
I think more people do
Overall,
play
it's
it.
just a good time.
It's definitely worth playing.
I
mean-
see it in the top 10 of the games you have to play before you die. It's really, really up there. The original Bioshock.
Just
mean,
for
I
the
came up-
story.
Yeah.
I came off playing System Shock and System Shock 2, and Bioshock was everything those games were, but more and better.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at the time, there was nothing else like Bioshock. So I think you have to look at it in the context of what came out around it.
Yeah.
First-person shooter with a soul, man.
That's a good way to describe it.
Well, that answers Dan C. Gilbert's question. I really enjoyed your response to this statement last time I submitted, so I'm reusing it. Sell this game to someone in one sentence.
You can visit the Circus of Value.
This is the gift that keeps on giving, eh, Dan?
It really is.
Just going to bleed that one dry.
That's what I do.
Hey, you know what? Buried in this game, there is a Pac-Man reference. So,
Is there?
absolutely. Yeah, there is. It's a wheel of cheese and a bunch of bullet holes. Looks like Pac-Man eating dots.
Oh.
It's worth it just for that.
Zach, what would your one sentence be?
That
I'm going to go first-person shooter with a soul. It's a great game.
Tom?
Yeah. Quite good. No.
Jeeves, review it for me.
Post a a
quiet.
review.
Master Yamas would like to state that Rapture is indeed a very good time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Shit.
would
Despite
say,
all
like,
that splicing nonsense, jolly good.
yeah, a first person shooter with
Soul.
layers of political drama and curiosity. It's a very political game, right? It's like kind of
It is. I agree.
toting these kind of libertarian values of free market and
Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow?
yeah,
No,
or it's
fuck
like,
off.
and the things like when when I
It's the will of the beaver, says Justin Trudeau.
he's like when a man creates a parasite asks where's my share.
Socialism.
Tom, you've went over your sentence now, mate.
I'm still selling it. They've already
You've
ruled
only
out the
got a
elevator.
sentence. You've done about 4 paragraphs.
Well, actually, diving a little bit back into it, though, that's kind of the crux of the whole thing that pissed off Andrew Ryan. Is like he created something great, and all these parasites just came out of nowhere. So it was this narrative on society as well.
Yeah.
What he strove to get away from, he actually ended up creating.
Well, and it's, if you follow that Ayn Rand line of thought, this is Atlas Shrugged, right? It's about evolution being the ultimate expression of where people are going.
Yeah.
Survival of the fittest.
Yes.
And they're going to shit.
Oh, yeah, they go to shit fast.
I would say my sentence would be: you can kill little girls, but if you do, you're a terrible person.
Guilty.
Yeah. Josh Alexander, we've visited Rapture twice and Columbia once with rumors of a new title in the works, Parkside. Where do you think the game could take us that lives up to the hype of previous Bioshock locations? You know where I'd like to see them go? So, yeah, I'd like to see them go, because they initially started off, like I said, as wanting to be in space. But what would be really cool is to do it in a artistic style of how people from the 1950s and 60s thought living on the moon would look like.
That would be cool.
That would be cool. Be like Moonraker,
Yeah.
but with more child killing. I'd like to see Bioshock end with System Shock.
Oh, man. Could you imagine that tie-in?
Well, I remember thinking, and I know he didn't get to finish the game, but I thought that would have been the biggest opportunity with Metal Gear 5. I thought Metal Gear 5 ended with you creating Outer Heaven. And in the
Probably
same
did
vein,
at some point, but then they...
Yeah, it got cut.
Kojima.
You ever watched all the cut footage for that game? There's like 4
Yeah.
hours of just cutscenes. And it's all so good, and I just want to rub my face on it, but didn't land that way. So, Bioshock people, if you're listening, I would like Bioshock to end with the creation
They're
of
not
the ships
listening.
from System Shock. I know. All
Metal Gear
17
5
of you
is such a
listening, if you know
wasted-
anybody that works on Bioshock.
Metal Gear 5 is just such a wasted game because mechanically it is absolutely spot on.
Yeah.
If it had the storyline, it would have been amazing because I've been replaying it and yeah, it still holds up really well. It's just so annoying that it wasn't finished.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't good enough for me to play Metal Gear Survive, but it was definitely top 10 games of all time in terms of mechanics and playability.
It took the best parts of the first Metal Gear Solid game and made them even better.
Yeah. I mean, Metal Gear 4 is probably my favorite in the series, but Metal Gear 5, I can pick it up and play it. It's like playing Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I can finish that game, 100% everything in it, and pick it up the next day and start playing it again. And Metal Gear 5 is that way to me because it plays so well.
Nice.
Tom, where would you like to see Bioshock go now that you've entered the series and have no reference of Columbia? I'd like to see them go into the sky with like really cool circus style architecture.
Think I should play Bioshock 2?
I really like your idea of having it in space, but this 50s idea of what it would look like, because the first game is underwater, so it'd be nice to have just that complete polar opposite and just have it completely catapulted out of there. I don't think it would work
anywhere else. It has to be a
Anywhere else.
remote location.
it has to be somewhere unfamiliar because they're so good at world building that I want to buy into another Rapture.
Well,
But you could also have kind of an isolated city where the only like really good people to go in there, and everybody else kind of lives on the slum lines around.
Yeah,
it.
like a city built on an island of children's tears, right?
Yes, of course. Made from shaking little sisters.
Stop shaking me! I need more tears. It's a fine balance between tears and death.
Yes, you got to get the shaking right.
God.
You'd be a terrible parent.
I know, so I don't have
Shake
kids.
you just hard enough to get you to stop crying, but not to go to prison.
Excellent.
Imagine playing Grand Theft Auto 5 with Dan and just needing to like take a shower afterwards.
It's a shit show.
Let's see. Maddie Hallmark, how many times did you attempt to play this game before you beat it? I think I tried it a total of 4 times before I beat it this past winter. I can't believe I couldn't get into it before. I beat it the first time. I think I had it beat in like 2 days.
Yeah, first time.
Good
Yeah.
Lord.
Tom still hasn't.
Lord. They're working on it.
Are you going to go back and finish it, Tom?
Yeah, today actually.
Very good.
If only we would have waited one more day. I blame Kat.
I didn't think it would take so long.
Yeah.
It's fine.
How about you guys, Zach?
Oh, sorry. My child walked in the room. What was the question? I apologize. True professionalism here.
How many times did it take you to beat it before? How many times did it take you playing it before you beat it?
I beat it through my first time when the game came out. I want to say it took me 2 or 3 days. But it was one of those games that I instantly picked back up and wanted to go back through and like 100% and find everything and find all the audio clues and all that. I did for this. I beat it twice. I beat it once good, once evil, and I'm scarred for life by shaking that little sister.
I was a broke ass college kid when this came out, so I had nothing else to do. Let's see. Santos Lopez, what style of game collection is Tom building? The Eric Peterson sealed nothing older than NES style? The Daniel Curtis open everything to play everything style? The Zack Fawley games wall to wall style? Or the Chad Hager toss tons of stuff in the basement style?
Yeah, this received quite a lot of responses.
I think my prediction is the most spot on. It's going to be the, hey, what the fuck game is that collection?
Yeah,
Mhm.
100%.
Mhm. That's pretty accurate. I can't argue with that.
Yeah.
It's basically I'm only collecting. Well, okay. Sometimes I deviate away from this, but I'm trying to mainly just collect the things that mean the most. So my 2 favorite series, Final Fantasy and Metal Gear Solid, I'm just collecting everything I can for those 2 series, and then I'm also like any Famicom carts or things that kind of look good, anything that looks nice on a shelf, because I want to kind of just have a nice bookcase with all my games on it and collectibles. So
Do you know what would be even more fun if you played them?
Nah.
preservation, son.
It's all about filling up that wall space. I'm as soon as this show's over, I'm on my way out to pick out an old CRT TV so I can play my games how they were meant to be played.
You found one.
I
So
did.
excited for you.
There was one that, oh man, I was so mad. A couple days ago, there was one that was posted on the other side of town. It was a 4x3 flat screen that had an HDMI input. But this one is a flat screen that has RCA component inputs. So I'll take that. And it's only 21 inch. I didn't want anything too big because I don't really have the space for it.
I have 2 CRTs sitting in my living room, one in the garage, and I have to say, these things take up huge amounts of room. Nobody blames you for going smaller. The ass on my 27 inch is like feet back.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've got a great 27-inch back in Wisconsin. I have no way to get down here. I'm like, you know what? For as much as I'm going to use it, I'll just go with the 21-inch and we'll call it a day. And it's only $20.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
that's
That's
totally
fine.
worth it.
Yeah.
And it's great to have for older consoles.
Well, I want to hook my Saturn up to him and be like, okay, this doesn't look like shit.
Yep.
But I need to stop and buy a stand.
It's fine. Just play it on a normal telly.
Oh, Dan, you have no idea. So actually, transition into that. I'm ordering something called a Super NT. I think Ben was talking about this a while ago on our podcast group. Basically, it is a piece of equipment that can play both Super Nintendo and Super Famicom cartridges through non-emulation methods and output through HDMI to a modern TV where it looks the exact same as it would on a CRT.
That's very cool. So it's not like a retro which emulates it.
It uses physical parts from Nintendo's along with hyper-threaded processors to emulate the software end of it. So it's an actual piece of Nintendo hardware playing the game.
Ooh.
And it don't come cheap, son.
They're $200.
Oh.
But what's really cool about it is that it physically plays from the cartridge, whereas some of the other stuff that you see, I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Like is it the Retron?
The Retron plays.
That only play. It will only allow you to play a certain predefined catalog of games. And basically, what's happening is it takes it recognizes that you have the cartridge in and then plays that ROM.
That sucks.
That's my understanding of it. If I'm wrong with that, somebody correct me. But the Super NT physically plays the cartridge, and they have one for NES called the Analog NT, but it's made out of like titanium steel, and it's $500.
There's a cheaper version of it, but yeah, those things are like uber swanky though. And
they're
not to
real
mention,
cool.
With your Super Nintendo version, you should get a copy of
Super Turrican.
Yeah, and that is an unreleased game. The only way you can play it is to get to the Analog NT or download it as ROM.
Because they worked with the developers to finish it, right?
Yeah, that's how all that started.
Yeah.
They wanted to play that game, and then they figured out that they didn't want to play it through emulators. And there's a whole big story about it. I suggest everybody goes and reads it. But that company does amazing things. Like I write to them every other day, like make a fucking TurboGrafx. Because I own 3 of them, and they are all dying. Even my new ones.
Do you own a PC Engine?
I do. I own a Turbo Duo R, which if you're into collecting TurboGrafx games, I highly recommend picking up one because it can play both Japanese and US CDs and then Japanese Hue card games, which are much cheaper than buying US games or North American games. I'll give you an example of that. I picked up Ordine at that show, and my Japanese copy was $13. I think Ben picked up a US version, and it was like $60.
Yeah.
You can correct me if I'm wrong there, but I mean that's about the equivalent value going both ways. And TurboGrafx had a ton of shooters, ton of really oddball pinball games that you really don't need to speak the language for.
Yeah, but Bonk and Bonk's Adventure, whew.
Ooh, both great games.
Those games were fun. We actually got that hooked up to play, didn't we? Oh no, we played it through the RetroPie.
Right, RetroPie. But hey, we had copies in the room, so I didn't feel bad about it.
Yeah, the FBI was outside, so we got our copies in here.
They were next to the 14-year-old girls. They're something totally different.
That may have possibly been there to capture Zack after kicking piss into a child's face.
It was a piss-soaked rag. Let's keep it straight.
Piss-soaked shit rag.
See, if I had pissed into his face, that would be a hate crime and a sex crime. But now it's just child abuse. I didn't mean to.
Unintentional child abuse.
Oh my god.
I just wanted you not to watch me poop.
Mark Marcheski has kind of a long question, so I'll sum it up. He says he played this along with us again. There's a lot I could say, so comparing it to the past, I'll say this is an exciting time when it was released. I remember seeing the demo at Best Buy and watching my friend's college roommate play System Shock 2, and it motivated me to get a 360. Well, this and Mass Effect. Goes through talking about how he liked to play the game in different capacities, but he wants to know, do we all have a main thing or feature we wish the game had done better?
Dual wielding.
Not having to switch plasmids. And yeah, dual wielding.
Yeah.
I would say the story capacity and how it's delivered make it not so easy to be overshadowed. Because those diaries were fantastic, or make it easier to go back and listen to them and not have to sit in a menu.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Last question, Nolan Detman. What path did you take through the game? The angelic savior who saved the little sisters or diabolical psycho who harvested them? I've played through the game 8 times and never harvested a single one.
No, not even tempted. Just a little bit.
I feel like
Harvest
you're
one of
just a better person than me.
You have
Yeah.
more restraint.
Yeah, I'm a horrible person.
I
them.
can't.
Good.
But I enjoyed it. It was fun. I got good powers.
Yeah.
Let's see.
You got some of those lesser known potions that let you like flush toilet. There's a lot of toilet flushing in this game. Did you guys
There
notice?
is
Oh, yeah,
actually,
toilets.
yes.
You
I
can
think
go flush toilets. I
You can
appreciate
switch sinks on as well.
That's
The
No
right.
worst
reason.
thing about, you find a little bathroom and you want to clear it out of all its items, and there's a fucking turret in the final cubicle.
Yeah. Which seems like over aggressive for don't shit here. Yeah.
That's Zach's in there.
They
That's
saw
just the
what you've done
turret.
at Walmart. They saw
Call
what you've
them-
done at Walmart.
We call those Tyrone stall.
Okay, Jay Jorgensen has a really odd question. If you were stung by a jellyfish, which co-host would you want to pee on you?
Certainly not Zach, because he's got weird bubbly piss, apparently.
Despite that not actually doing anything, this is more or less just who do you want to have give you a golden shower?
Who drinks the most water?
Probably me because I live in the desert.
I have a fear of
Okay,
answering
I'll
this
go with
question.
you then.
Like somehow answering this question will make it come true.
I'm gonna go for whoever drinks the least water because there won't be as much.
Oh, that's
yeah.
true.
Yeah, but then you'll get like
but-
it'll be a small amount of very
Very
steepy-
strong piss.
Yeah, it's just you'll just
I'm just gonna
absorb
make
into
sure
your skin
that-
directly.
If I'm chosen, I'm going to eat just mountains of asparagus beforehand.
Sake, Eric. Now I don't choose you.
Well, you already did, so get ready. You guys are coming to visit in January. Asparagus is on the menu every night.
Oh God.
I'm gonna choose Ragsy because it'll have a more dignified flavour.
And the way
Oh,
he'll
great.
do it, it'll be very posh. Be like, now just stand still for a second. This will be over soon.
Jeeves, hold it for me.
Stand still. We've got some loose leaf Lady Grey coming your way.
Check online, book hotel far.
Okay, Dalton Suter. How was
Sutor!
the first time you played through this? How did you handle the plot twist? Also, how does the first Bioshock hold up compared to 2 and Infinite? I think we answered all of those.
I think we
We
have
did.
answered all.
We did.
Sorry, Dalton.
Some guy named Zack Fawley. Had any of
Never
you
heard of
ever
him.
played System Shock prior to this? Bioshock was a huge improvement in every way, but the System Shock game will always hold a place in my heart. I played System
I've
Shock
never played
after
System
this.
Shock.
I've never actually played it.
Oh,
I
totally
should,
worth your
'cause
time.
Yeah.
Add it to the list.
System
on-
Shock 2, especially. Part 1 is okay, but 2 is amazing.
We
I
were
think
gonna
it's-
play it, I think, because you have it on GOG, don't you, Eric?
I do have it on GOG.
So yeah, we should get around to that sometime.
It doesn't look
Yeah.
like it's aged well visually. But
No.
we
I mean,
could give
it's
it a shot.
it's a 90s.
Will it run on my potato?
No,
Yes.
it won't.
Ah,
I was telling Eric this. I couldn't believe it. I actually got Cuphead to work on a shitty PC last night.
Huh.
On like a computer with no graphics card, really. I mean, just like a notch above a Celeron. But it works great. So anybody looking for a
Wow.
really challenging shooter game, try Cuphead on any PC.
I've played that a mountain of times and made zero progress ever.
Well, that's because you suck.
No, it's not Mega Man. If they would have put Mega Man in there, I would have been fine.
No, Cuphead is hard.
It's
I will
real
give you
hard.
that. But it's so good. It's especially if you like the shmups. It's an amazing little shooter with lots and lots and lots of soul and art
Shit to
style
do.
to it. Yeah.
oh God, you and your shooters with soul.
Oh man, you have no dude. My entire. You can look at the games that I bought in St. Louis. They are all shmups. They're
Oh,
all
yeah.
shoot.
That was his first question. Where are your shmups?
Yeah, I need those everywhere in my life. I think I own like 8 copies of R-Type in different forms.
Thomas,
Yeah.
do you have the magical generator open?
I do.
Because we are giving away, I think we should do 2 copies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
You know why? Because it just went on sale. So we are giving away 2 copies of Bioshock, the collection for either PS4 or Xbox One. All you had to do was submit a question. So anybody who just had their questions read got an entry, and it will be just completely chosen at random.
Yep.
If you
I'm
already have it and want to defer your victory to somebody else, that would be very kind of you. Just let us know. But we'll reach out to the people that win. So, Tom, let's get our first winner.
I'm deferring in advance.
Zack Fawley wins both of them. God damn it.
Oh,
Yes, and Patreon support extra entry.
Oh, yes, that's right. So the Patreon support, if you want to support us on Patreon, it's patreon.com/factorysealed. The main thing you get from that is Factory Sealed Unwrapped, which is just anywhere from 60 seconds to 30 minutes of just shit before we actually start the show.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much you really get from that, but it's only $1.
Yeah.
So it's probably worth it.
As a Patreon supporter, it's totally worth it just to hear all the pre-show blame. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, blame.
There is zero actual prepping for the show.
This is true.
It's
But
usually
there's lots
making
of blame. It's totally worth your time.
It's basically another podcast in and of itself.
Guys, I've got the first winner.
Who is it?
It is Nolan Detman.
No,
Congratulations.
I think Nolan actually knows or works with Ben Schrader back in Wisconsin. Or he's a customer at Ben's GameStop or something. Found us through him.
Nice.
All right, I'll reach out to Nolan, find out what he wants it on. Who's next?
And second, we got Santos Lopez.
Santos. That guy wins all the time. I like Santos.
Cleaning up.
Yeah, just cleaning up. I think he won our
Good
copy
job,
of
bud.
Driver 3.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
God.
This is a bit of an improvement on that.
Jesus Christ, what contest was that?
Who we...
Who
I
do
think
we
that was when they had to make your own stupid driver image.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, but-
yeah, that's right.
Did they get to hit you with something first? I mean, that's it. Here's a 4-hour game about how to get out of a...
Well, that was Driver 1. I think Driver 3 was a little more cohesive. At least that one you could get out of your car.
Oh, well, that's fair.
Yeah.
Guys, next week, we are going to play Beyond Oasis for the Genesis.
Yay.
A really generic,
Zelda
obvious Zelda clone. That some like if Link were Aladdin set on a deserted island that plays like Streets of Rage. It's a weird game.
Oh yes, my God.
Tom, are you going to try to beat it?
I will do my best. Is it long?
Like 6 hours. I'm already
Okay.
halfway through it, and I started it 2 days ago.
In my experience, Tom, that
No.
probably means more like 10 because Eric tends to reduce these times.
I'm optimistic.
Yes.
3 inches is 10 inches, okay?
Yeah, but with Eric's
More like
play-
12, am I right?
Yeah, but with Eric's play style of let's wait till the last minute and then play for 17 hours straight, it's kind of hard to gauge.
I'm bleeding from my eyes.
The story of Thor.
Oh, that's right. You
Otherwise
guys call
known
it
as-
something dumb.
I don't know
Probably
what to call it now.
Why would his name be Thor if he's wearing pants from Aladdin? Thor is a Norwegian name.
It's beyond the story of Thor's Oasis.
That doesn't make sense, Tom.
Well, that's what I'm gonna call it.
We'll
'cause
save
I'm-
all of this making fun of it for next week.
Yes.
Zach, thank you for joining us. Do your
Yeah.
best in your life moving forward to not fling piss-soaked shit rags in more children's eyes.
Man, I got to tell you, that's a challenge I don't know if I can live up to, but thank you. Thank you so much for having me today, guys.
No problem,
Yeah.
Zach. Thank you very much for being
So-
with us.
Yeah, it's great having you on.
It's like having Mike Tyson, but not shit.